Hello. Okay, I just fixed this and now, is it even? There. No. Sorry.
Hi.
Hello. Sorry.
It's okay.
We literally just set that up and then I'm like, yeah, it's good. And then as I press play, I was like, oh no.
Are we wonky?
I think we're good. I try to look at the top.
Oh yeah, okay. Welcome.
Welcome. This is our knitting podcast, Knitting a Good Yarn.
My name is Jackie.
I'm Carmen.
And we're coming to you from Southern Ontario. If this is your first time, welcome.
Welcome. And we are doing exactly as we do, which is we are one take show. So there is no, I think any other person would say, well, let's just start over again, because that was only like 2 seconds of taping. We could have just started again, but we don't do that. We just tape the whole way along. We don't stop it. We don't edit. We just are us.
Yeah. This is a predominantly knitty,
yes.
Sometimes fibery, spinny, very chatty, at times rambly, always
Tangential.
rambly, tangential podcast in which we share our makes and reflections from our makes and stories about knitting life, etc.
Yes.
It's been a little bit longer than our usual, which means more finished objects.
There are,
right?
yes. And by the way, there is something so heartening about the messages that we've been getting of like, when's the next one? And I'm like, I don't know, that just felt like we didn't mean to have to wait that long, but there's something that was really
That was very sweet.
Yeah.
I know.
Like it's not just us doing it, people enjoy it. And that makes me feel
And the only thing, I feel like I would also be like in withdrawal from like the deep knit chat, but we had the opportunity to be at Knit City Toronto, and so like we had days of just like deep knitty wonderfulness.
with
other knitters and with each other, which is I think the reason why it on my end when I looked at the calendar, I was like, oh my god, I mean we knew that we were planning on podcasting right after Knit City Toronto, and then there were some scheduling things, and then so on and so forth. But we're back.
We're here.
Hooray! And we'll see how long this one goes.
As you know, we push 3 hours pretty regularly, so it'll probably be something like that. But that's what stopping and starting is for.
Exactly.
So
for those of you who are new here, for those of you who have been here, like go get an extra snack, go get an extra drink. We go for a really long time. We do sort of set up chapters to give you opportunities to stop and start. If there's some part of the podcast that you want to watch and some part that you want to skip, you can look at the chapters. And then everything that we talk about, we do make show notes, which you can find in the drop down bar. And because we are a one-shot, no plan, no prep podcast, often we won't remember all of the things that are important for you to know if knitting these things, but you'll find the information in the drop down bar, and if there's something that we haven't included that you really want to know, then leave us a comment and we'll try and add that. Often that's how the show notes get made. I have a first draft and then the messages start coming in. I'm like, right, needle size, right, colorway,
another thing we mentioned,
size, let me put that in there. So that's all there. And we love hearing from you.
Yes, we do. Yes, and the comments, we've said this before, oftentimes we don't get a chance to respond to them. And it kills me because this is what happens. And every time I say I should just like it and then go back, but there's such great comments that I'm like, no, I have so much to say. I will do this later. And then of course the days just go by because I've got all these other things that, but they just are so meaningful to us, every comment that you leave.
And I feel like you and I are in some ways so different, but on this we are the same in a way that's not super adaptive in the sense that I'm the person who will read the text message and be like, I need to take time and I need to sit down and feel into it and respond from a place where I'm not super scattered, which then leads to me responding to things 6 to 10 days later.
Yes.
And our email inboxes.
Yes.
That said, what I've been noticing is the number of people who I think are finding us. I don't know how folks are there's always a slow trickle of new community, but it's been so lovely actually to be getting comments from people about episodes from last year, and it just brings me back and
I go and watch them again. I love that.
And makes the older knits sort of, it's like they get a new life because I'm like back with them in the energy of them being new and the excitement of that and so on and so forth.
And then someone else's experience of it too, right? Because it just keeps it keeps the energy going. It's so interesting. Yeah. And someone actually had recently this was one I also wanted to respond to, but she said she was binge watching our episodes, and I'm like how long would it take to binge our because there's like how many? Where are we at? 14 or 15?
17, 18? Oh. God, I should know this.
I don't even know.
How many episodes? This is episode number 18.
Okay. So basically 18 times about 3 hours.
3 hours? That's a lot of hours with us.
That's a lot of hours.
That's a lot
Thank
of hours.
you.
Think about how much like Kitchener stitch and like weaving in ends and like how many knits.
How many knits you could
make
in that
period of time. Well, we hope we've kept you company.
Any of you, I know some people like actually have hours for their, like they track the hours.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody do that? Because I actually don't and have no idea how many hours it takes for me to make sweaters and things. You know, like I can know like about weeks, you know, like I'm like, okay, this kind of sweater will probably take me this many weeks. But how many hours am I actually knitting that?
Do you want that metric?
I don't know. Yes, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like I did it once. I did it once for a test knit.
Oh.
I think I did it for half of the test knit and then I like lost steam. I can't remember. I think the designer was like had asked us to track, and so I was like, track my time. Okay. But I just feel like sometimes I will sit with my knitting and it'll be like a marathon sesh, but more often than not, like I'm getting up, I like get a snack, I make a cup of tea. Oh, I would like a snack with my tea. It just, I'm up and around, or like, oh, Lily needs to go pee. I'm gonna like let her out, then I'm gonna come back. And so the ability to like actually meaningfully track, I feel like I would be
constantly going.
Constantly, yeah. Like my virtual assistant has a thing where she tracks her hours and she's like, I started, I stopped, I started, I stopped, right? Which is great. I feel like that would not be part of like my process.
No.
I also just think I don't want to know.
Because you feel like it's taking a lot of time?
Yeah.
Of your,
I mean, it's wonderful.
It's
not that I don't want to know because I don't want to know how long I spend knitting. It's that I don't want to know how long it took to make me a garment, because I feel like if I knew the total number, if I knew how long it took me to knit this twig sweater, I would hesitate to knit those kinds of projects again. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. So if you're starting to think in terms of hours, but we kind of are anyway, right? Like, so when we do a toothpick knit, we're kind of like, all right, this one's going to take a lot longer than if I'm going to like do a 14 stitch gauge.
Yeah. Right.
So like, would it matter? I guess I'm just like, I have no ballpark. Like I couldn't even ballpark how many hours that is. Like I have no idea.
And I think that's adaptive for me, because I think like, okay, like I'm going to be working, it's going to be like a background project that I'm working on. And it's going to take me like 4 to 6 months. That I'm really comfortable with. But if you were like, Jackie, this is going to be 120 hours, I'd be like, no way. Like I cannot fathom investing 120 hours into something. Although, I mean, who knows? Like who I probably did. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Sorry. Trackers.
Don't let her know. So if you're going to put anything in the comments, say Carmen, for Carmen's eyes only. So Jackie like doesn't read it.
This is how long it takes to knit a fingering weight sweater.
Yeah, like who knows? Who knows?
It can't be 100 hours. I mean, this could be 100 hours, but like I'm thinking about test knits, right? Like test knits are the knits where I feel like I actually get a sense of how long it takes to knit, except I always feel like a test knit is like a turbo knit.
Yes. It's not
not an actual, it doesn't actually represent like the average time.
Yes, it's true. And when you were saying about the different like, so with this one, I was just trying to get this done before our podcast. It literally came off the needles last night. Thank you. We'll talk about it in a sec. But I was like, actually, when I got to the stockinette part, like I started kind of like, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to record. I'm going to use my stopwatch and find out how long does it take to do one round. I can actually like get some sense of like, can I get this thing done this weekend? But just like you're saying, at first, when you're doing the test or you're collecting your data. I'm like, start, and then I'm only doing that. I'm like, no, I have to actually like drink my tea and stop and do this and do that. And that's the accurate picture.
You know,
of
like
how long a
when your
round
kids
takes.
comes in, you like have a conversation,
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
know, a text message comes or you have a thought about something else and you go on a
many
tangent.
things. It's so funny. Yeah.
Are any of you like sit and just straight needle knitting?
Yeah. I bet you there are people out there.
I think there are, you know what, there are probably times where that's the case.
It's not as much for me because I also know trying to get this done. I also, this is the first time I've ever done this, I set a timer for myself, I let an alarm, and I said 45 minutes. Like, you can't look at anything else. Like, you can only knit, just knit. Like, no going on when you think about things and I'm like, oh, I want to check this on Ravelry or I want to do this on Instagram. I'm like, no, just straight.
How was that for you?
It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it actually.
Yeah.
Because it was like a mindfulness thing, right? Like it was like, okay, it wasn't pressure. Well, it was a little pressure, but like mostly it was just like, let's see, can I maintain my focus and not just.
Well, it's funny, right? Because when I'm like thinking about, okay, like what are my distractions during knitting? And a lot of like distractions are sort of, I don't know, like I would say half of them are like externally oriented. It's like something happens and it's like, oh, I want to attend to that. Like my partner comes home or like the dog is being extra cute and I'm like, oh my God, you're so cute. Come over here. Be cute over here. And then I like put down my knitting, pet the dog, plus cat. Like it's sort of that kind of stuff. But then I feel like the stuff that's like internally motivated other than like water in, water out, food in is like often when I'm knitting, I'm thinking about the current knit, but I'm also dreaming about like the 10 other knits that I want to do. And so it is, like you said, Ravelry, like it is like going to Ravelry or like making a note down because I have an idea and I'm like, oh my God, those two colors would be great together, I think. And I'm not at my stash, but I'm like thinking about things or I'm making notes actually about the knit itself. So often I'm like modifying and then it just becomes this rabbit hole of like, I feel like it would actually be super challenging for me for a knit that's more complex. That isn't like garter or stockinette to like put my phone away and just like be there for 45 minutes. Interesting.
Huh. So, deep thoughts.
Welcome to Knitting a Good Yarn.
Should we tell them something? Should we show them something? Oh, I was gonna say you got it. Oh, look, you got a little string. Do you want to do yours? Like it's finally done, lady.
No, I need to hear about this. I walked in and I was just like, basically, can I rip it off of your body? However, that would
Well, you are going to be putting it on in a second anyway.
Oh my God, it's so good.
So this is the Salty Air Tea by Samantha Guerin, modded a bit.
Do you still have the white one or did your sister?
Oh yeah. Okay. So here's how did I actually just stand up and show something and not be a typical Carmen with her backstory?
Yeah, backstory.
So I'll make it a short backstory. But my sister was here visiting from London. She lives in England, and I'm sure other knitters, when we knit a lot. We've got a lot of things. We've got a lot of like finished objects that I don't really wear that many times. So she's like, she wants to rate. She's always like, I'm coming in and I'm raiding the closet. So I pulled out a bunch of things that I was like, I don't really wear these. So you can try them on. I think there were 9. She took 7.
I mean, everything makes gorgeous.
Well, and every time she would put something on, I'm like, oh, it looks so beautiful. It looks so beautiful on her. Yeah. So one of them was my Salty Air Tea. So I actually had tested, when this first came out, I was a tester for it. And I did it in a natural white color. And it was so beautiful, but I didn't wear it. And I don't know why I didn't wear it. Maybe at that time I wasn't wearing as many dresses. And it didn't make sense for me to put it on with jeans or something. I don't know why. But anyway, so my sister puts it on and I'm like, that is so gorgeous. And the whole time she's here, she's wearing it with my clothes. So she's wearing like a nice dress of mine. And then she put the tea and I'm like, oh, I love it. But at that, of course I can't just take it back. Say geez, that looks so beautiful. I want it, mine.
It helps that you weren't wearing it, I think, right?
Yes, you get to see it, right?
Yeah.
On another person. And in the meantime, I'm also noticing, I've always wanted to do summer knits, and I'm sure others have this feeling too, where you're like, but wool in the summer? Do I want, how cool do I want it to be? But you also, so what I'm noticing now that I'm back at work, because I was doing a lot of so we're both therapists.
We just make the disclaimer about the dog.
Okay, the dog. So this will be, I put a little blanket here. I'm hoping that Pizza will just settle. He gets worked up from the podcast. Like, that's it. That's like, there's something now that this is what he does. He gets worked up when we're talking to the screen. Anyway, so, so now I'm back in the office and I'm noticing that there is a very nice, there's a place for a knit that is lightweight, but gives a little bit of warmth, but not too much warmth when you're in any kind of like air-conditioned place.
Because it's like a commercial kind of building, right?
Yes.
Where like
you can't
I
control
remember my old clinic. You have a thermostat, but really it's like blasted air conditioning set for the building. Well, and you can like adjust it like a little bit.
Well, this I also do all the time. I'm constantly going to be hitting it with my knees. Yes, and mine is like, it's kind of flexible temperature. Sometimes it's hotter and sometimes it's cooler, and so I've just noticed that I really want a little sweater,
a little layer
to put on. So that's been my new thing. And when I was thinking about like what to make, and then seeing, you know, my sister wearing it, I'm like, it was a great knit. I loved knitting it. It looks beautiful, and why don't I just do that instead of like something new? And then Melissa, we are going to talk always about Sonder yarn. And we'll talk more about our experience at Knit City, but we are absolutely in love with Sonder Yarn Company. Sonder Yarn Co.
I don't know why I can't say it. I can't say Sonder Yarn without the Co.
Yeah,
which
I think
sometimes I hear myself say it,
and it's not Sonder Yarn Company. It's Sonder Yarn Co.
I mean, the Co starts for anyhow.
Tangent. So Melissa is always bringing in she's just always innovating. And so a new base that she has coming in is a BFL. So she does a lot of BFL non-superwash wool, and then with different combos. So like with Massam is the like Sunday morning line. And then some cashmere, like there's a cashmere option. This will be a potential linen. Is it 25%?
25,
linen?
75,
so 75%.
She just posted about it.
Yeah, so you can check her out on the Instagram.
You keep going.
She has a great name for it too. She's gonna call it something as usual, something cute. Anyway, so we were at Knit City, and she so generously, she's like, I've got these just come in. So she gave Jackie and I like a few skeins. So I had 2 skeins of black, and then I had 2 skeins of a cream neutral. Yeah. And anyway, so I was like, well, this is perfect. Let's see what I can make with that. So I ended up making this. Now,
so good.
It is, and the funny thing is, it is so, as I was doing all this lace work, I'm like, why am I doing lace work with heathered black? Like, it is so completely, it's so hard to see it, but I still like it.
I love it.
Right?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's so subtle, but also I think it's partly you need the lace work, because if it was just, even if you can't see the lace, it's what creates this shape too, like in how it drapes and everything.
And also like the eye registers texture that your brain doesn't register. And so I feel like on some level, like some part of your being is recognizing the like interest, even if you can't say like, this is the lace pattern. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. And it does help that if I made any mistakes in here, nobody knows.
Oh my God.
Now so I was saying to Jackie, as of this morning, because last night I finished this finally. I'm trying to, and I stick it in the water, and then last night I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna try to like stretch it out. Shh, guys, it's like when I start talking about a sweater, they're just
like, we love it too. That's right, Mom. You were blocking it.
That's right. You were ignoring us and running over there and doing squishing towels, and we don't understand why you do that. So, guys, I really need you to just be quiet. Come here.
Little pitter patters.
They're so funny. As of last night, I was like, oh God, I think this was like a massive fail. Yes. Okay. I am so in love with it right now.
I need to understand pre-blocking what were you concerned about? Because I feel like I need to understand, because I'm gonna knit this thing. I need to like prep for how it's gonna look.
Yes.
And how I'm gonna know that I'm on the right track to have this exact shirt.
So, well, now I can give it to you because you will check gauge. But the thing is, I don't check gauge. And particularly was like, well, I've already knit the sweater. I mean, like, I'm just gonna knit on the same needles that I did before. I'm just gonna keep on doing that. Oh my God. I only today looked at what my actual gauge. So it's supposed to be like 24 stitches. Mine's 17.
17?
Yes.
What did you knit this? Oh.
Right. Oh, I know the feel of it.
Hang on. No, keep talking.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm gonna find the other one because I feel like it would be so fun to look
Oh,
at
yeah.
the other one.
Yes.
I'll pull it up.
Beautiful. So I, where was I gonna go with? Oh yeah. So in the original one, I had knit size 3. So I knit size 3 again, which was, I think the measurements would have been good because I wanted it, yeah, anyway, I wanted it to be a little bit boxy, so you'll be able to see.
This is the cream version. Look how pretty.
It is very pretty.
Oh, it's so pretty. And you can appreciate the lace, the
Yes.
beautiful lace work a little bit more. Is it focusing? I don't know.
I don't know either. Can't see
We'll throw a link.
it. Yeah, it's so pretty, isn't
So
it? When
pretty.
you see the
Now
lace.
I'm looking, I came in, I was like, oh, okay, I need this. What is this sweater? What is this t-shirt? I need it.
Pretty.
I know I have the yarn. I was like, I'm gonna do the same one. But now that I'm looking at the cream one, I'm like, oh, I think I want the cream
I have to do
one.
it in the cream. Yeah.
Ooh.
So I'm doing this. I also knit on, I start here with a smaller needle, and then I often don't ever change that. So Jackie always sees my whips, and you can't see anything because they're like all tied. All the stitches are like around the tiniest possible needle.
Right, and so the cable. Is
sorry.
always tiny. Wait, hang on. Wait. I'm not sure if I heard you correctly. You used the same needle.
No, it wasn't
for the
exactly the
ribbing
same.
to
I
the
did
thing?
open
Okay.
it up.
Okay.
But not by much.
You tend to always use a small circular.
Yeah.
Like cable.
So it's not.
So you can never
really
stretch
don't
it out.
know.
Yeah.
And I didn't try on, even though, as we've said a million times, the benefit of a top-down sweater is you can try it on the whole time. I didn't try it on. I didn't check my gauge. I didn't do anything. I just was like, and the funny thing is, as I'm knitting and I'm trying to get this done, I'm even thinking to myself, I think you even have 2 more stitches than you need. You would be able to get this done.
Okay.
Because it's gonna be way bigger than you think. Anyway, so when I put it on yesterday, I was like, okay, like, well, you can see it might have been even a little bit bigger than that.
Bigger?
Yes, because so I cropped it. So this is supposed to be about 7 inches and so 8 inches altogether. And I stopped after 4 and then just did a quick little 1 inch
ribbing
thing. So when I blocked it, I actually went more like I stretched it, I think a little bit longer, which means that it'll bring in this a little bit, because when I tried to stretch the lace out a little, but that felt impossible anyway. So maybe if I had blocked it correctly, you would see the holes in the lace a bit better, but I wanted
when you blocked it, you sort of lengthened it and brought it in, which brings it in.
So you kind of make that decision.
I'm looking at you now, like I'm close up and I'm looking at and the lace does not, it's not like the lace is all bunched up. It actually all is really open. It just is the nature of the color that you're wearing underneath. Like, I wonder if you were wearing a white dress, what you would probably see it more.
It's possible. I thought about doing that. Yeah. But I thought it would actually come through a little bit more, but it is, I know, it's so beautiful.
So beautiful.
So I was like, please let it just do what it literally just did. Like, I just wanted the drape. So once with the linen and the BFL, and once it was blocked, everything just relaxed and feels like it's just so, what a gorgeous neckline, in my opinion.
The way that it just, the way that it lays on you is just perfect.
It just was so lovely and came out like that. Yeah. I also felt like I thought the sleeves were a little longer than I wanted in the original. So I was pressed for time, so it was kind of a good combo. So I actually cut back the sleeves by a few rounds.
You shortened the sleeves?
I shortened them. So I would normally put a few more rows in there with some more decreases, I think.
Before the ribbing.
Because
it's top down round yoke.
Yes. Right. And so then you're just you just pick up some stitches, which I was going to pick up less stitches, but turns out I didn't, because I'm glad that I didn't, because I kind of like this whole,
I think it helps with the drape.
Yeah. And then I did a shorter, it was supposed to be 1 inch, and I think I did 3/4 of an inch for the actual ribbing. I also was very close to, because I wanted this look, and I was worried about bringing it in too much with ribbing. So I actually considered and changed my mind right at the end, but I was gonna do like a garter bottom like I have in the sweater 28.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that to keep
so
it
that
kind
it
of
doesn't
straight.
come in.
Yeah. Or I was also like, or do I have this massive thing and then like actually like decrease quickly and make it, that was also a possibility that I was toying with.
I love it so much.
I love it, and it is now, it's one of those things where I've made the knit I need. Like I would go and buy this. This would be something I would be like, I need a garment to solve this problem. This will be perfect for it. And I made it.
And it also came out, like I love those moments where you envision something.
Yes.
And it comes out the way that you envision. Like there are some knits that you envision and then they come out differently, but they're still beautiful and you love them. But like there is something deeply satisfying about that. Like I'm dreaming about it and like it plopped out the way that I expected. Yeah.
And against all odds, like I went completely crazy here. Like that's like, I wasn't even close to the gauge. I was laughing when I checked it.
17. That's amazing because it's a finger. So it's called Fleece and Flax. It's a fingering weight, so I don't know what the yardage is exactly, but probably around like 400 and something. And hang on, Melissa, it's so interesting. She knit it at a gauge of 20.5 stitches per 20.5 stitches per 4 inches or 10 centimeters in stockinette. And I love this yarn. It's sitting there, the black and the white, me trying to decide what I'm gonna do with it. And as you'll sort of see in some of the things that I've knit, I was not feeling mentally up to like a 20 something stitch gauge. But at 17 goes in the category of things that I can knit quickly that I don't actually want to know the number of hours.
Well, you might want to, because you'd be like, 7 hours.
One skein.
It's okay. So it was just over one skein that I used. And you can see, this is also why we love Sonder stuff so much, because it really is so flexible. You can see, like, it's airy, but it fills itself out. Like the gauge, the range that you can get from like really, really low from the fingering.
Well, you know, I think we love Sonder for a lot of reasons. One of the things that I know that we've noticed about Sonder is I think it's the first time that I've worked with BFL Massam as a mix.
Yep.
And in particular, I think the reason why it is so flexible in terms of the gauge, like that Melissa's knitting on like 20.5 and yours is at 17, is about it's like a really low twist yarn.
Yes,
and as somebody who's like, I love unspun,
yes,
and I don't love a high twist yarn.
Yes, right.
This does the thing, and there's something about the BFL Massam and the twist that makes it really like airy and drapey, and so it has this like movement that you can knit it and it will shape to your gauge.
Yes, it really does.
It's amazing to me, but that's 17.
I know.
Like,
I'm just so thrilled. Did I say Samantha Guerin? Yes, I did, right? Like, did I say Salty Air Tea? She makes beautiful stuff.
Beautiful patterns.
You know what? And they're like really cool things. Like there's like the cast on is different than the normal.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's all these like just little things where you're like, oh, okay, or even under here it was different.
It's like the little details that you don't see but create the fit and the shape and the garment. It's stunning. I feel also though that like the original is really beautiful, that like cream that you did is really beautiful, but I feel like I can't remember, maybe it was like a year ago that like you discovered this new fit of yours that you love, which is like cropped with the like, because you wear a lot of dresses, right?
Yes.
And I feel like you discovered that if you do something that's cropped, that has like a lot of ease, cropped, like even deep raglan with a dress, that like that's is your sweet spot, and it's the way that you bring your like ready to wear dresses and knitwear together in a way that like works and is beautiful on you.
Thank you. And it is a funny thing when you're knitting, because even though I know I want it cropped, it's so hard to stop at 4 inch. Like I was like,
your brain,
because you
like,
put it on and it's like I'm putting it on with like say jeans, right? And there's just so much like space. And I'm like, I'm not in my time of life where like that is
like really crappy crops.
Yeah, with like midriff showing. So anyways, it is very funny and hard to stop it, but then there's just this like, okay, just do it.
I will say of all of my like Sonder yarn knits in the various like BFL, whether it's BFL 75-25 or 75% BFL, 65 BFL, 10% cashmere, 25% massum. All of my garments grow a ton lengthwise. I feel like my stitch gauge doesn't change, but my row gauge like really expands quite a bit, which is new for me. I feel like the other basically Nutidin does not expand that way. It expands like a little bit stitch wise, but also Nutidin is so sculptural that you can kind of like tease it into the size that you want, whereas in working with spun yarn, you don't have, I don't think you have that much flexibility. It is kind of like your gauge is your gauge, but the pre-blocking, post-blocking on that BFL master mix of it's insane.
It's like magic, and that's why I kind of was like, it's okay, Carmen. Now but I was prepared. I was prepared to come here and be like, okay,
it didn't work.
It really didn't work.
Tracking you should
it. Oh, you should try it on.
I do want to try it.
You're like, yes, please. Oh, and we always try on each other's knits so that we can kind of like
I'm looking at that being that like that's probably a little too cropped for me.
For you, I'm way bigger.
Pants though, not wearing a dress.
Oh my gosh, I like it with this outfit. Oh, Jackie. Oh, wow. I love how this happened too. I didn't mean for this to happen, but it's lower.
The lower and the back. Because are there short rows?
There are short rows. Yeah.
I love like this.
Wow.
Oh my god. Okay.
Wow.
The feeling of this
is so soft.
It's so soft and light.
I know.
Okay. Real talk. I was not like maybe skeptical is the word. I was in this inquiry around like, okay, summer knits, right? If you switch from, if you replace only 25% of the mix with the summer fiber, like how much difference does 25% make in my head? Warmth-wise.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, really? Like, yes. The answer is yes. Yeah. And I think airy gauge and I think lace.
Yes.
Like I could totally, in Ontario, do you feel like we have a second spring? Yeah.
Wow.
Like,
is that what it looks like?
You can't, yeah.
I feel like it looks nice.
I feel, no. But I think it's because I bet you if we were to take a picture of the dress that you're wearing right now and this and make it black and white,
yes,
they're really close, right? But
yes,
I think
you're
with
right.
something like, oh my God, look at the, okay.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Bye.
Well, fortunately you do have
all of these and I can. But at the lace, big gauge, like this doesn't feel like wool to me.
No.
It doesn't feel like wool.
It's just this perfect temperature. It just feels so nice.
But I feel like it makes the knitting experience so lovely because BFL has, like, it's like light, it's airy, it's drapey, but it still has the elasticity that...
Linen is not fun. If you've knit with straight linen, it's not fun, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's hard on your hands. Actually, there's another one that's hard on my hands that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, when you're putting your needle in, it's there's no give. This just felt,
oh, it feels so good.
It's gorgeous. Jeez. What a beauty.
Oh,
I'm very happy with this.
So inspired, Carmen. So
I will try to weigh it, but it's probably something like 105 grams.
Did you get to the second skein?
I had to go in the second skein, but it was just for the just the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. We will note to self, get the bust measurement on that just so that,
yes.
I mean, I think.
If you want to copy it.
I want to copy it. I've already noted. I'm like, okay, body length 4 inches.
yeah. Well, that's
like trying to count the number of lace repeats on your sleeve.
Well, yeah. Well, I did do the full yoke, so it's like the same repeats that you're supposed to do for size 3.
Oh my gosh.
It's so nice. It's so nice.
Also just like how incredible, like, I mean, we talk about this like over and over and we'll forever talk about this. It's just like fit and fit, not like, I mean, I think that there's there's a part of fit that's like, you know, does it sit on your shoulders? What's your actual, like your upper bust size, your like actual bust size? Is that how you say it? I don't even know. There's like those pieces, but I feel like more than anything, what we've learned in the past like 2 years of like trying on each other's knits and like doing lots of modifications is that there's measurements in terms of your body, but more important than that, I think, is like the measurements of the size that you want the garment to be.
Yes, completely. And like, the ratios of like how much. Yeah,
like how long is the sleeve? Like how short is the body?
In comparison to how wide this is, and all. There's all of that stuff that like you probably, if I tried to really figure it all out, I'd probably just go, you know, like it. Yeah, but once you get those magic numbers, I guess. Yeah. Kind of working to that.
And I think like Andrea Mowry is somebody who talks about this all the time. If like Andrea Mowry talks about it, then you do what Andrea Mowry says. And she's always like, measure something in your closet. Measure something in your closet. And I feel like
have I ever done that? No, I've never. You've done it, I'm sure.
I've done it. But also you've like, I do think that you have a sense of the size garment that you want.
Yes.
Right? As opposed to like if you were to check gauge or try your things on or measure as you go, I don't think you're working with like your body size.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like we're always working with finished object size.
Because I don't even know my own body size, I think. Yeah. Like, so, because when I measure actually myself, this is weird. Does anybody else have this? Like, if I measure my actual measurements, clothes, like store-bought clothes won't fit. Mm-hmm. Like, what is with that?
Yeah, so the measurement is not, it's ridiculous.
But when I get something that it's too big. So I actually like buy clothes that are, the measurement that they're saying they have is smaller than what I'm getting, and yet those are the ones that fit. Why?
Because it's 3D, right?
Yes.
It's 3D and things like some stuff moves up and some stuff moves down. In any case, I mean, I'm all for measuring yourself and knowing, but I think for me, there's something about like, it still takes me a moment when I look at a pattern I'm trying to decide on a size. Yes. I'm like, okay, well, I should knit this because this is like my bust size. And I'm like, wait, like back up, Jackie. Like, what are you looking for? What am I looking for? Is it cropped? Is it like
and I wanted it big. Yes, exactly. So this one, it was like, I wanted it to look like this.
Right.
So yes, I'm looking for that, not what it would suggest.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how different this looks to the sample that you test, which I feel like the first one that you did in the cream, you knit it sort of, I in my head, it's like t-shirt fit.
Yes.
Right? Like it was
long, a lot.
It was longer.
Closer.
There was less ease.
Yeah. And it was a non-superwash. That was from Origin yarn.
So, merino, right?
It was merino.
Yeah.
But it felt, I even asked her a number of times because it was so silky that tightly spun that I thought it was like, it felt superwash.
Yeah.
It was that silky. And so that was such a different fabric, right? And you can see clearly in the stitch definition for the lace, that was beautiful.
It's beautiful. Love.
I'm very happy. This was a success as of last night. I'm like,
For me, when I think about summer knits, my brain always goes to the ranunculus because I do love, like I do in the summer wear a lot of like skirts and like wide leg pants. And so I really love the idea of having like because sometimes you just want like a little bit of sleeve. Like it's exactly what you talked about, right? It's kind of like, I want the feeling of a shawl, but I want it in a garment.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Totally.
And I always think about the ranunculus, but one of the things that, because everyone's like, the fit is so great and you can do it all different gauges. But for me, there's the ranunculus by Midori Hirose. If you don't know, we'll link it below. But it has this beautiful, it's like a beautiful round yoke with a little bit of raglan shaping. I've knit it out of Newtonen and like a woolly version of it. And there's something about the lace which I think is incredibly beautiful in the ranunculus, but I feel like the lace looks really casual because the lace is really big.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yes.
And I feel like when I walked in and Carmen's like, hello, and I'm like, hi person, hi shirt. Sorry. True story, it happened. I was just like, who's Carmen? I want this.
She's like,
outfit.
yes.
Hello.
Hello. She looks up, you know, to my face at some point. Oh, you're there. Hey.
This marble on your body. I thought it was the ranunculus,
Yeah.
but it's because it had like the way that you knit it has that like shape and that fit and that like ease and that like goes with like dresses and big pants and like wide leg pants, except the lace pattern is so elegant.
It really is.
That I think it translates, again, it's like something that is both casual but also like a little bit more work like
yes, which I could totally wear a ranunculus to work, but yes,
there's something about those big lace things, and also
and you have to wear underneath. You have to
wear something underneath, and because the lace sort of like there's like a 4 eyelet sort of situation that I feel like when I wear mine, I'm very aware of what I'm wearing underneath.
Yes.
Like you can see it quite well. You can see it quite well. Like undergarments, the lace is big enough that you can see the color of the undergarment, which is like okay, but in a like work setting, there's something about that of like, okay, am I doing like black or am I doing like nude or am I doing, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Where this, I feel like I hesitate knitting lace things because of the whole like undergarment situation, and this I feel like the lace pattern in the Salty Air, it's like you get gorgeous lace, but it's not so open that you need to worry about underneath as much as,
that's it.
You know, I'm thinking about like the Love No by Tin Can Knits, where the lace is like it's another like classic summer knit because you are doing like fingering and mohair, but you're knitting on like a giant needle.
Yes.
So of course that creates an open fabric. I just haven't figured out how to work with that.
I can't wear it. I gave that one away. Like, because I just couldn't. Yeah, I agree. And even my white one, I didn't wear, I don't think a tank underneath it.
Yeah. Because
like you can just wear your regular like undergarments.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not,
so open.
Yeah.
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 Well, there we have it. Thank you. I'm very, very pleased. Yay. And I'm very jealous that this has happened. I'm gonna say right now, I don't know if mine's ever gonna get done.
I don't think it's gonna get done.
Oh,
there was a moment where I saw you look at it and I was like, this relationship is over.
Not with the colors. That color scheme will happen. I was thinking about actually just modding it and making it into a sweater, what I've already made, and then just knitting it. Well,
the moment that I thought, they're breaking up, is because the color combination that you have, we'll let you know what episode it was. Carmen has this beautiful color combination that is from Sonder yarn, that is this like deep teal called Dream State, this like my favoriteest fuchsia magenta gorgeous pink, which is Free Spirit, and then this like beautiful, what would you call full English?
Yeah, like a bronze,
like a bronzy, rusty browny orangey gorgeousness. Anyhow,
it's so nice.
It's such a great color combo. It's so beautiful. She got the color combo. I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, that needs to be a Twigs, which led me to then cast on a Twigs. But I remember there was a moment where you pulled it out and it looks beautiful, but I saw you compare it to this one and it wasn't enough contrast. There was this moment where you were like, I like the motif being a lighter color than the background. And I just remember the moment in which you were like, oh, I really like the light on the, it's really nice because it's lighter. And I saw you look at yours and I was like, and that relationship is over. Goodbye. But I mean, it's a I think it's a good, reflection on colors, that colors can look good together, but you really do need to find the right pattern. And it's not that pattern's wrong for that color combination. I think in your like dreamscape of your Twigs, there was like the motif and the main color have a different relationship than the relationship that yours has.
I agree.
Because oddly, yours has less contrast than mine.
It definitely has it.
Like mine's super high contrast.
Yes.
And I saw that moment and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about contrast.
Even though the original does have quite like contrast, right? And as you're talking, and I apologize that we're talking about a sweater that we're not actually showing. We haven't even mentioned the sweater that's right on her body. We're going to talk about something that you don't know. But I'm just assuming most of you are.
Is it? Do you know what it is? Okay.
I won't talk much longer, but I want to say the Twigs was I'm jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
I've never wanted to knit the Twigs. Like, I want the Twigs.
Yeah.
I love it every time I see it, but it never had like something that grabbed me. I was just like, yeah. So that, as you're talking, I'm like, maybe it's because I've never really envisioned the Twigs. All I knew was this, and then I'm ending up with something very different from that, which I still really like, but it's not that. And I just don't think I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
We'll see you put this on and then we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm going to take yours.
Yeah. But the Twig, I knit this for our year-long knit along.
It's so gorgeous.
It's
not because it's not gorgeous that I didn't want to knit.
Yeah. But this has been on my want to knit forever.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back or if you've been here, you'll have heard that this is my third attempt at knitting it and finding the right color combination, finding the right yarn, and so on and so forth. And we have to credit Rhinebeck 2023 meeting Megan and seeing her version, which
that tipped the scales.
And then also seeing it on all kinds of bodies, like at Rhinebeck, that I was finally like, I need to do it. And then our friend Lily from Curatorial Knits also knit one, and also just finished hers. And that's the bandwagon piece, right? It was like seeing it. It was seeing it. But it's funny because now that I think about the 3 that you were looking at, that you were like, oh my God, I want one also.
Yeah. They all look
myself,
like this.
Megan's and Lily's, like, they could be, their color story and the contrast sort of situation is very similar. And yours is more Carmen colors, medium contrast, but not like as much.
It's true.
So it's true. That's like, I feel like I'm going to put that in my pocket in terms of like choosing colors for knits that you want when you like see a pattern. When I see a pattern that I love, like
I think it kind of
is that like thinking about, okay, not only do I like the colors that I choose, that they look good together, which in and of itself is like so much fun color play, but also thinking about, okay, if I'm looking at the sample, what's the contrast in the sample? Which one's lighter? Like, is the contrast lighter or darker? And like maybe like deconstructing those pieces a little bit. I don't love it's funny. When we were at Knit City, someone was like, you're such a technical knitter. And I was like, I'm a technical knitter. I don't think of myself as a technical knitter.
But I see what they're saying.
I
think a lot, though.
I feel like I like to think that the choices that I make are a little bit more intuitive. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I just want that.
Yes.
But I think that sometimes it's helpful to like go down into that like more technical thing where you're really thinking about contrast, you're really thinking about lights and darks, like more mechanical is probably not the right word, but you know what I'm saying?
It's like, actually, it is because you want a specific thing that you then think about how to get your thing.
Yeah.
And so for you, it ends up being more technical because you're actually really considering like measurements and all of it.
Yeah.
Like this was I keep saying it was a crapshoot. Like it could have totally not worked out.
Right.
Because I didn't really think about any of it. I just wanted it to work, and then it just did, thank goodness. But you will say, I really like this, and how am I going to make this work for me and my body and the different things I like? So I feel like that's the technical piece.
Yeah, it's like, what do I like about it, right? Because I think like beauty and art for me is very emotional, right?
Yes.
And you don't really know, like I don't really know why I'm drawn to things, and I don't need to know why I'm drawn to things. But sometimes when I'm like drawn to something, and then I'm like, okay, well I'm going to knit it, I'm going to make my version. In order for me to feel like I've made whatever the spirit of the thing that I loved is, there needs to be some technical thoughts around it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So okay. So anyhow,
let's look at the sweater again.
Okay. Yay! So this is the Toy Sweater by Junko Okamoto.
Oh my God.
I knit this in Sonder yarn Sunday morning 4-ply. which is the 75% BFL, 25% Massam. The original pattern calls for 3 colors. There's your main color, which for me is under the duvet. And then in the original pattern, there's 2 contrast colors. And I ended up with 3. So I would say like the main contrast color is Window Shopping. And then I had 2 other sort of like, I don't know, like the CC2, actually, scratch that. I didn't actually follow. The other, I also used Tickled and Catnap. So what I will say is that Window Shopping, I don't think Melissa's carrying, I don't actually know. The Window Shopping and the Tickled came from the Sunday Morning Ecru line, which I don't know.
It might eventually
come back, but I don't think it's like in the mill queue for a while. So Under the Duvet is still available. Catnap is still available. And I think that if you like this color story, there are not the same, but like incredibly close.
Very
and
close.
That's part of the reason I think what Melissa's doing is there's the like Sunday Morning line is on sort of like a gray brown base.
Yes.
And then she brought out the Ecru line, which was on a white base.
Yes.
And what she's in the process of doing and has done is she's taken some of the Ecru colors and she's matching the colors. Somehow they're figuring it out so that they can get a very similar color but on the brown base.
Yes.
Which just makes the milling process a little bit easier in terms of having sort of like one bale of one blend of wool and then dyeing all of that instead of having to find the like white BFL versus the like brown gray BFL. So that's why I don't actually know what's happening. Anyhow, I did 3 colors, and then I didn't really follow, like in the pattern, it tells you CC1, CC2, and I didn't really follow. It's not like I subbed the CC2 with these 2. I kind of just intuitively decided.
You really made lovely choices.
Thank you. And I made modifications that I'm gonna put on Ravelry.
Yes,
basically,
this shape is different from the original.
Yeah, so basically, it's a top down. It's top down. There are short rows in the back, which I think you can see.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's short rows in the back. You knit it and then you split for sleeves and then you knit down. So the modifications that I made began sort of here after this motif. I didn't do as many increases as is recommended in the pattern in order to make it smaller.
Right.
Same thing, if you look at the pattern, it's really beautiful. The original has basically a balloon sleeve. You actually do increases in the sleeve to make it like a balloon, and then you have a really long ribbing. And I knit the body and then was not sure what I wanted to do with the sleeves, but in the end decided, as you'll see in one of my other knits, that I don't think balloon sleeve is for me. I like ease in the body, beautiful. But I like a cropped arm, and I don't know that with my height, like I'm a little bit more petite, I don't know if it makes sense to have a wide body for me in my proportion, a wide body and like really wide sleeves. It also means less stitches because I knit this on a US 2 for the body and the ribbing was a US 0. Like serious toothpick knit. But what's incredible to me is the fabric that it's created, even though it's pretty tight, and I knit it tight in order to get close to gauge. When I blocked it, it completely transformed. And even though it's tight, it's still, like, you can see airy and drapey. And when we were at Knit City and I had the opportunity to like touch a lot of Melissa's samples, I was like, I feel like I actually strangled this yarn knitting it at such a tight gauge. But even at the tight gauge, still it's so good. And I also realized that with the pattern, the motif needs to be like small. I feel like the proportion of the motif is
it's so delicate, right?
It's delicate, so I didn't, even though I could have knit it looser potentially, then I'd have to do like way more math to try and grade it.
And you wouldn't get the tight, like, it's just
look
at how
like the little details are.
You need it to be tiny gauge.
Yeah. So I mean, here's what I'll say. I loved the process until here. And then I started to feel a little bit daunted because of the number of stitches that were involved, and also because I'd done
getting bigger and
math.
bigger. Yes.
I was like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna work out. And for any of you who've knit color work before, and for me, like doubly, this was the first time I'd worked with this base from Sonder. I didn't know how it was gonna block out, and like putting it on pre-blocked was like, I was terrified. It did not look good. Like my color work, it's okay. It's definitely not perfect, but like it's okay.
Beautiful.
But like pre-blocking, it was like, oh God, like I don't know. And then for those of you who don't know, I steam block almost like all of the time to do fit checks.
Yes.
And generally speaking, usually when I steam block something, the fabric doesn't become quite the same as like a wet block, but the gauge and the way that the fabric opens up tends to be similar or like close, whereas my experience of this was the steam block versus the wet block was like two completely different things. So I was like, oh my God. In any case, if you're thinking about knitting this pattern, I cast this on in December. I cast it off in May, and it was a little bit of dash to the end because I wanted to have it for Knit City Toronto. I feel like this happens with me all the time. I love the yoke, and then I start to get distracted and like want to knit other things.
Yes.
This is one where like this was super joyous. Then you have these two motifs that are also joyous to knit because they're just like 2s and 1s and 3s. And then these two motifs, evidently, like you're going line by line.
Right. Because it's changing so
because
much.
It was changing. And so I did this one, which was line by line. I mean, you can't get around doing it because that's what makes it beautiful. So I'm like, I was very happy here. I was very happy here. And like this one felt super daunting. And the joy of it is that this actually was my favorite motif out of all of them to knit because it has a pattern and it repeats. And so you're sort of following it line by line, but like when you have 400 stitches and you're going knit one the other color, like, you know, 1 and 1 and 1 and 1, it gets a little monotonous. And this was like the perfect mix of like engagement, but not overwhelming. And then it was kind of like I got halfway through and then I was like, oh, I get to do it again. And at the end of finishing this motif, I was like sad. I was like, oh no, like I don't get to knit it. And then I had the sleeves, which if you want to do a like toothpick knit like this, I feel like strategizing for your joy is super important. And so normally I knit sleeves before body. That's my like go-to because of fit.
Yes.
I like to have like some of the sleeves before I do the body, but if you're gonna do a toothpick knit, my recommendation is like do the body, and then when you get to the sleeves, it'll be like, how is this sleeve just like done? It was incredible. So I'll put my mods on Ravelry in terms of what I did to create a closer sleeve. I really hummed and hawed about the length.
I love it.
Because actually I like this is how I like it.
Oh.
Like I was like, it's a full color work sweater. It should go all the way down to my wrists. I see. In the original pattern, it's like balloon sleeves and then this super long rib, which looks like really beautiful. So I hummed and hawed about the length, but I'm pretty happy with it. I'm like, if I'm cold, I can do this, but where it naturally sort of sits.
I love it.
I think the proportion
is beautiful.
So yeah. I mean, this is like, I should just stop knitting because this is like the greatest sweater I've ever knit. And I don't know that it's ever going to get better than this. I'm so pleased with it. I'm so proud of the color choices.
Beautiful.
I feel like it's this like watercolory classic that I think will, you know, sometimes you knit a colorwork sweater and because of like how like bold and like beautiful and special it is, it doesn't have longevity. I'm like, I'm not worried about this one.
Oh gosh, no.
This one I feel like is gonna have
a feel to it, even though it's also quite dramatic.
Yeah.
It's a show-stopping sweater. It's the kind of thing that like when somebody sees, have you worn it out? Have people like stopped you?
No. I wore it out once and nobody like stopped me, but I definitely got a few like you can tell when people are gazing at it. So
it's so like you're not gonna find that in a store, you know, like it's just
so I think we said we had like we're having a second spring in Ontario. Like it got super hot. Like you can't wear any knits.
Yeah.
Heat like in the middle of May, and so I cast it off like, I don't know, a week or two before Knit City, and then I was like, I'm not gonna wear it because I want it to be like shiny and new and perfect for Knit City so that people could try it on.
Yeah.
And then I got too hot to wear, and it's gotten like cooler, and I was like, oh, I can put it on now. I can wear my twig sweater because, you know, on my needles it's sweater weather every day on my needles. Like, because I always just want to be knitting sweaters.
Well, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe that'll change a little bit. I have to try it on. I'm sorry.
Yes.
And then I'm gonna steal it. And yes, if we need to trade this one for that one, fine. That would be a good deal for me.
Actually, speaking of like logging knit time, I will say, you know, there was a Carmen. I think you put it on backwards.
I always do things like this.
I also never like have a one of my like knitting like long-term knit goals is to buy those cute little like tags that you can sew in that say things like, you know, handmade, or I saw where did I see it's like, this took fucking forever. The one that says this took fucking forever.
Fucking worth
in
it.
The back of Carmen.
Mine.
Do you like the fit?
I do.
I feel like you could do. You would either crop. Like I feel like it's off by 1 inch. Not that it looks bad, but I feel like for you would want an extra 1 inch, or crop it an inch. But
is this your strategy to make sure that I don't just run, you know, with this one? So tell me, like, it won't quite work for you.
No, I'm inviting you into the modifications that I think will make you like love it.
I know. It is so
just like this.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
It looks so good on you.
Beautiful.
Just interlude for us to make sound. How does it feel?
It feels so nice.
Okay, this is the other plug that I'm gonna make, is the fabric that this like all over color work and fingering weight is ridiculous. It's such a nice fabric.
It's surprising because you forget that this is held double then, like, because it's all over color work. So there's 2 strands constantly, and this isn't lace. It's fingering weight, like, you know, fiber that we've got. Oh my God. I don't think it's coming across, but this is, so window shopping's blue. It's got a blue, like a light robin's egg blue.
I think I might have the,
Oh God, some of it. Oh God, it's so pretty. Oh, maybe
this is what it looks like.
Yes.
I am gonna make a plug for this particular color of the Sunday morning under the duvet. Like, what color do you think that is? Like, if you were like, this is a blank colored sweater, what color do you think it is?
You're asking me or them?
Both.
Gray blue.
Yeah, so I someone described it as charcoal, and I was like, it's so weird because my eyes 1,000,000% see this as a muted navy.
Yes, but you're right.
But it is also charcoal.
Yes.
And also it has a green undertone that you won't, I feel like
I can see it
come across because of the contrast colors. Yes. But the reason I want to make a plug for this color is because I feel like this is a chameleon color in terms of like color work. And when we were at Knit City and we were like just surrounded by yarn and helping people do color combinations, this was one that I feel like ended up so like I pulled it so many times when we were like, this one's not quite like it's close, or like when people had their contrast colors and you were trying to find a main color. This is one that I was like, I can't believe it's working. I can't believe it's working. I can't believe it's working. Yeah.
Right. Is that the equivalent of matinee? Like ecru's?
Yeah.
The ecru line.
It's different.
It's not
different. It's not the same.
Oh, it isn't, okay.
No, it's not a match. Matinee was different. Matinee is a navy that Carmen knit her rib wave pullover test in that people were freaking out about because it was gorgeous. But under the duvet, I feel like it's really, it's not a color match, but it's really similar.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was of the, I believe that it's like better than matinee in my mind to have in a color range because it's so dynamic. Whereas matinee, I feel like is pretty specific because I have matinee and it's a very specific colored blue that I was like, surprisingly, it's not as versatile.
Work with particular
things,
it'll work with
not
particular
things.
You're
But this one is like,
right.
it's just like, huh. So for those of you who are looking at this and being like, oh, it's really blue.
I wonder if they would.
It
looks gray to me on the thing.
So just interesting to play with, to think about.
Oh. Are we not blessed to be able to knit?
Looking at you in the sweater.
Right? I know you get to see, when you get to see somebody else wearing it, you just get to see all the nuance and like all the work that went into this, you know, but you made it. You made this.
I also feel like this is a very much like, this is a knit that like, that it is very much a podcast knit because you guys have been with me on this, and remember I like had all the things and you all helped me in terms of like helping me to see the different color combinations. So this one is the main color, that one is the main color.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy with the one that I ended up with, although all of the options I think could have been beautiful.
It's so
this
pretty.
one just feels most like me.
It is. It's awesome. And I don't think we know what we said. This was the reason we have a cow going on, or like, and it's Junko, not Junko.
Yeah,
Junko Okamoto. All year, knit any of her patterns.
Use any of her motifs in a knit. Just the invitation to do those knits that you have been dreaming about, that like that feel overly daunting. That was the thing that I wanted to say about. So it was lovely, and then I was starting to think like I really wanted it done for Knit City. And those of you who have been here for a while, you know that like I don't do well knitting things that are bringing me joy or under pressure. It just I'm like, this is my hobby, it's my joy time. Like, why do I want to slog through anything?
Yeah.
There were moments where it felt like a slog, but the slog was all in my head, and that's the thing that's like super interesting is like what I ended up doing was I ended up just sort of like I hadn't touched it for a while because in my head that last chart motif just seemed like so daunting, and then I knew after the chart motif there was going to be all of this ribbing, and I just felt like it was so daunting. So I did the timer thing. What I did is like I'm like, okay, if you have time to knit today, and you just set a timer for 15 minutes, and just knit on it for 15 minutes every single day. And I was shocked that not once did the 15 minutes remain 15 minutes. It always, like, once I got going, I was like, oh my God, this is so wonderful.
I know.
Like, and it was so in my head that it was going to be terrible. That it was like a good teaching for my knitting and also for like my life. I was like, right. There's like the story that I'm telling about how this is going to be, and then there's the actual experience that it is, and you're not actually going to know what it's going to be like until you actually do it. And like I have started to do basically not knitting but like other things. 15 minutes seems like I'm like 10 minutes, just do 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
And then if at like 10 minutes, at the end of the 10 minutes, you're like, actually like, it's not serving me to be doing this activity, then I'll like let it go. It has been transformative. Like
it had, well, you know, that's actually a technique for procrastination.
Yeah.
Like that's a pretty like, you know, like
well established,
just do 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, because once you get it going, then oftentimes, and it's what, like you're saying, it's like remembering, wait a second, I love knitting, like why? But when you look at the whole thing, it feels daunting. And I've noticed this with my yoga practice, because I do Ashtanga yoga, right? So like it's like an hour, let's say it takes about an hour and 15 or so.
Yeah,
right,
75 to 90 minutes to do the full series.
So, but the thing is, it's split into all these things. So like, I honestly, almost every time, I'm like, oh my God, that's so much yoga, even though I love yoga.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, it's so much. And so I say, just do the sun salutations. So then I do the sun salutations, and then I'm like, well, that's the hardest part. So now I'll just do the standing series, and like, I'll do half the standing series. But of course, as I'm doing that, I'm like, no, it's all, now I'm already done. Oh, now we'll just do a few of the primary series. And like, by the time you do this, then the primary series is done, and I'm so happy. And then I love the finishing series. So then I'm done. But I can never start with that. I always have to start with like,
so I don't know.
And then you're in it going, I'm in love with this. I
Yeah.
enjoy this so much, but I can't get myself going if I have to do the whole.
Yeah.
So,
So, you know.
I love the way you're looking at your sweater. Like you can see the
so
joy and pride, you know, like this was an accomplished knit because you had the plan to do it for so long. You wanted this finished product. You enjoyed parts. You didn't love every part. Like, you know, you got through.
Yeah. But
Now
like
it's
little
yours.
chunks, and it ended up being, I would say like 75% joyous and 25% just me in my head.
Yeah.
Being worried about like, is it gonna block out? Is the sizing gonna fit?
Well,
like
these
all
are the
those kinds
pieces
of things,
it, right? Because there's that like uncertainty with knitting, like
Yeah,
where you're
there
like,
is.
oh my God. But for me, so even, you know, as I say, I'm knitting this thing. I always have things like, well, what's the worst case scenario? Like at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, I spent X number of hours that I don't know, but like some number of hours that I like have spent doing it. So what?
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks so good on you.
It looks really pretty.
Here's a like, and that's the thing about this pattern is like, I do think that it looks beautiful on every, like it, I don't know how it works, but it works.
Yeah.
And so it seems like this big, like in my head, it was this daunting thing that it's like, what if I don't like it? But I think of all of the pattern, like I think of the like canon of patterns that are like a high investment. That's like, what if I don't like it? I do think that this one is a nice one because a top down round yoke, it's workable.
It is, and it is
workable.
just stitch by stitch, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you're doing techniques that are going to be hard. Like, you know,
Yes.
sometimes you have the like things coming in a pattern and you're
Like
actually
a modular
scared.
knit.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
we're
you're
like,
actually
pick up-
like, what
yes.
if I can't do that one? Or when you feel like you have to put a lifeline in because you're like, I might not be successful.
Yeah.
There's nothing like you have to do. You just have to knit. But
You have to knit.
but you have to also make it work because if you look up the original, well, you might want to pull it up because it's like it's a different shape than what you did. You created something here.
It's funny that you say that. I feel like the only mod that I made, well, I graded it for my size, to be the size that I would be happy with, and then which ended up being fewer stitches, and I didn't balloon the sleeves. I'm trying to find
that
like
whole, and you didn't have the
her
long
original.
ribbing. Like
Yes.
the long, like it has a very
Yes.
different shape in my opinion.
I'm trying to find there are so many
Just
beautiful
looking at that
versions.
one, just even sitting there, like I feel like that's a very different shape than what.
Yes. Okay, maybe I can find it. So the other thing that I will say is that this is why knitting community is important and why I wish that everyone had access to Ravelry, because there's no way that I would have ended up being able to do this if I hadn't been able to go to Ravelry, look at all the projects, sort by most helpful, and see all the various different modifications that people made and see the knit on lots of different bodies and see how different bodies and shapes adjusted the knit for me to be like, yes, I can.
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
Junko, you have so many beautiful patterns.
No, you're getting distracted. Like, oh, I want that one.
I do want that one. I mean, I have another one of hers on my needles, but I have not made much progress on it. Junko!
It's how long ago was this? This was a few years, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh yeah, see?
That's not the pattern sample, but
Oops. There you go. You see, like, to me, that's a very different shape from this. Not very, you know, it's got a similar, like, it's not completely opposite, but like very different arms. This feels like, I guess, well, it is. It's smaller. It's not
smaller.
as
There's
wide,
not
right?
as much
Like, I mean,
ease.
there's just, there's stuff.
I have this new developing theory around the sleeves make the sweater.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Like, the sleeves make the sweater.
They do. It changes everything.
Changes everything.
I even think my little like salty air is slightly different than the original because it's just not that. It's just a tiny bit longer, and it still would have been beautiful. But I really like the little.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Wow. What's next?
The twigs. What is next?
Oh, I can talk. So,
You can keep that on for a longer period of time.
well, I
What
actually
else
have
do
to
you
show. I'm going to show.
Yeah.
So, we also know we've waxed on and on about the beautiful turtle dove cardi. which a lot of people, Knit City, we'll just kind of talk about it as we're kind of going. Knit City, well, yeah, I guess we'll talk about it a bit.
Talk about the knit and then maybe we'll circle back and do like a
it was so amazing, and having like all of these different like samples and things to try. But like, so the Turtle Dove Cardi that is now a free pattern that you can get. It's independent. It was in Lina, some number, and then like it's just been my most worn cardigan. And one of the things many things I loved about it. First of all, it feels like a shawl that I'm kind of just wearing over my shoulders. It's drapey, but it's also a fingering weight with holding 2 strands of mohair, which makes this like squishy, soft, beautiful fabric. So I'm wearing it so often that I was like, I'm just going to cast on another one. And I just don't seem to be able to knit. I did just knit something twice, maybe because I had to, but I don't seem to be able to knit things twice, because as I'm about to cast on, I was like watching YouTube, and I've gotten into, she says it like Veronika, who is like a Finnish.
She's so cute.
I think so. Knitwear designer. She's adorable, and she has like these like cute podcasts about like her knitting, but also her life. Beautiful. About her life. Veronika Lindberg. She's so lovely. She just had a baby. She knit. So she knit her own wedding dress, and that was a big thing. So if you like watch that was incredible Anyway, she's so fun. So I was watching this, and she had this like thing called a darling cardigan, and I'm like, well, darling cardigan, like I could use that, but I want it. So I'm still going to use the same wool I wanted, but I'll just do a slightly different shape from my Turtle Dove cardigan. So, but I still want a very drapey.
What's the gauge? Do you know? I'll look it up.
Something. Oh, I did. I looked this up. I think it was like 14.5 or something I ended up with.
Oh my God.
Now, 15. I had 15, and now after blocking, it's 14.5. And hers is 16.
Carmen!
Right? Okay. And I actually modded this a lot. Not a lot, but just different things. So because, I don't know, actually I didn't gauge swatch, but I think I did check the gauge. And I noticed that it was like I was a little bit going to end up with a little larger. And because I wanted this really, really fast, I didn't want to knit more than I needed to. So I actually proportionally, I cut down on how many stitches I used to
What's
make
the construction?
So it's a cool construction, actually. I'm going to kind of forget, but you start up at the back. Look how pretty this is.
It's a drop shoulder, right? Oh, I love that line. That line is so good.
It's a drop shoulder. What did I do? It makes this so you kind of knit. You're going back and forth. You knit the back.
And then do you pick up here?
Then you pick up here, you must. This we do after, so I'll tell you. So you're picking up here, and then you're increasing and joining eventually.
Yeah.
And it's all, of course, knit flat.
Oh my God.
He's so pretty. This was what got me when I first saw her. Like, there's just something, and you can see it comes up around the top. So it just is this all along.
So one strand of fingering and 2 strands of mohair.
Yep. Okay. And then size 8 needles, I think. 5 millimeter, maybe?
Yes.
And so but hers, if you want to look it up, the Darling cardigan, it's bigger. Like I wanted it to be drapey, but I also wanted it to kind of stay open the way that my Turtle Dove is. And she has options for, you'll see, putting buttons, but also, so there's like buttons with buttonholes, or you can, she actually has a version where she does a snap button, which I was like, oh, snap buttons, because then you get to like decide. Yeah, you can see that's her bigger one. But so I was planning on the snaps, which meant I didn't have to make any decisions about the buttonholes. But then once I had it, I'm like, I did make it a lot, like it ended up, because I kept decreasing, it is a bit tighter than, but I could snap it, but I think I'm just going to leave it open.
You and I have had the conversation about like, we don't button our cardigans. Yes. We wear our cardigans open, and if you want it buttoned, then you have pullover.
Yes,
so like,
right. That's right.
I mean, versatility is nice, of course. Like options are nice, but
and if you want, I could put a little like shawl pin if I really wanted to do it. Now, this went so fast. I'm just like this. I'm getting this done. Like, I mean, 3 days or something to do the body and something like that. And I think I did the sleeves. Oh, I can't remember when I did the sleeves. Like, it was nothing because it was 15 stitches.
Do you remember what size you knit?
2.
Like asking for myself and all the people who are like, I want it.
I actually did write down what I did here and how many stitches I decreased because I did the 2, but then I decreased a bunch. Like I didn't pick up as many. I didn't do as many increases, and I didn't pick up as many stitches around this. So I kind of paid attention to how I had decreased it, and then did that proportionately.
Wow.
Carmen. I know. Who am I?
So I just wanna before we forget, this is the Darling Cardigan by Veronika Lindberg. Her gauge is 16 stitches by 24 rows.
Right.
So when I look at it, I feel like you had 14 and a half, and when I look at the row gauge, I actually wonder if your row gauge is larger.
It might be. What did she say?
24.
Oh, 24 now.
24.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Hence the modifications, right? In terms of like the increases and decreases, because when I look at yours, the shape is super different from hers, and it's not just because you went smaller.
Yes, I didn't, and yes, I didn't. Yes, and when I say proportionately, it wasn't even according to her pattern. Actually,
Right.
It was in terms of what I was trying to get. I was kind of decreasing things, thinking about how big I wanted like my sleeve to be in these different pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
So you knit it back and forth, and then you do this placket of double knitting.
Double knit band is so gorgeous.
It is so gorgeous. It's so like, feel the squish of it.
Oh.
Like you're just, it is. And so you do from the bottom and you just go all the way around. That took forever. That one was long, 9 stitches or something, like
right.
back and forth, but worth it.
Yeah, and
I
it creates
love
such a
how
nice
it
structure. It sits so nicely. The color is amazing on you.
Thank you. So this was, again, it was going to be a turtle dove cardigan, so I was going to do another like Sonder, like, why mess with perfection? It's
well, the fabric, you knew the fabric that you wanted.
I knew it. I knew exactly, and I was just going to be really, really happy. What I ended up doing was French press, which is kind of a reddy brown, and then I added horsetail. No.
Cold brew?
Cold brew.
Wait.
Cold brew. Yeah. Because horsetail I'm going to be using for my other copper kettle one. Anyway, it's made this like,
so 2 strands of cold brew and 1 strand of French press.
Yes. And it cooled
good.
down the
French press.
The French press.
Which I love on the, like I love in the skein. I pick it up and then I put it to my face and I'm like, oh, I can't do that color, but I feel like.
Yeah, well, you're going to put this
that
on in a
color,
second.
right?
It's just, these are the things. So since I've finished this one, I've just been wearing it. Like, so simple, like nothing fancy. You know, it's just knitting, just stockinette.
I have an idea for a cal, which is like the staple sweater cal, where you like, where it's about finding your staples.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And that staple, like I feel like this is like a staple fabric, and then I also feel like it's a staple shape.
Totally.
You know?
It's the throw on. It's because of the mohair, I can wear it to work and have it still feel fancy, but it's also, it's mohair, so you can be like grungy too, like, you know, Kurt Cobain, like, you know, grunge look too. So it's just very.
The color combination though, I feel like is stunning.
Yeah.
I wish that you all could see this in real, like, I mean, it's the camera's picking it up kind of.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's blowing out on the camera. Like you don't see the rich depth of it. Like
yes.
It really is so deep.
It is, and
dynamic.
You can see areas where the like French press kind of emerges and then comes back down. So like these little, like, it's just, yeah, got a lot of
motion. And that's
the
thing about mohair, I think, that I feel like someone at Knit City said to me that this was the year of the cardigan, and this was the year that they were like, no more fluff. And I was like, okay, totally, like we can go and find you something without fluff. But I feel like I have been, it's the opposite for me. Like it's been like 12 months of fluff.
Yes.
And there is something that we've talked about in terms of knitting into like professional workwear.
Yes.
That I think mohair to me just like workifies it.
It does. It just makes it just that little bit.
Because it's shiny.
Yes. And
Like it's shiny, it's soft and it's shiny, and there's something about it that just like takes it from casual sweater into like.
Absolutely. And it makes it less handmade looking, if that makes sense. Maybe because it's a wash, like because of the fuzz, like maybe, I don't know, it might look more.
And also the dark saturation, but I think there is something about like color wise, you know, like we like Newton forever. I have something in Newton, but part of the reason why we fell in love with Newton was the heather, the like depth of color, that it's like this color plus this color plus this color, like constantly moving and shifting and changing. What I realized is like, oh, mohair does that.
Yes. Yes.
That's what fluff offers you. Is to, I think part of the reason why I wasn't working with as many commercial yarns is because I wanted that Newton experience of like all of the colors together.
Movement.
And the nice thing about commercial yarns and the way that commercial yarns I think translate into like workwear and more professional wear is like because you have that like consistent color.
Yeah.
And yet I'm like, oh, it's the same color, right? But then you add mohair and you find your mohair combinations, and then like we're right back to that like kaleidoscopic like gorgeousness, you know?
And that you don't know what it's going to be too as you're knitting, right? Like you're kind of like, oh, I think these colors will look good together. It's also amazing to me like how you can put mohairs that seemingly are quite different together, and they will just you're not seeing, it's not going to barber pole. Yeah. Like it's so incredible how it just like kind of just washes and increases or decreases the color or lightness or.
Yeah. How it like, I think of it now as like you're applying a filter onto your main color, except it's like a surprise as to how that filter is going to work. I actually have something here on that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Have you stood up and like showed the back and stuff yet?
I think so.
I can't remember.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's funny because it's a cardigan, right? Like,
but this is like, I'm like, this is staple sweater to me. This is the cardigan that that if it were ready to wear, I would go out and I would buy it in 3 different colors so that I have a cardigan to go with everything.
Yes.
With every dress, with like.
Because it's just, you know, and I could see this one, like if you made it, I would imagine you're like, if I tried on your version, it would be probably cropped, which would also be so pretty. Yeah. And there's something about something that's just slightly falling off the shoulders. To me, the turtle dove does this too, that I think is really pretty. Yeah. I think it's just delicate.
I love my turtle dove cardigan. I feel like the little mock collar on the turtle dove cardigan. Here, let me pull it up so that folks can see it. I love it. I love the way it feels. And I feel like the little mock collar is not necessarily like it's like a little preppy for me.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if preppy is the right word, but I tend to just be like, who was I talking to? Someone, I was watching something I was talking to Kristen from Cozy Made Things, and the idea that like you have your like style words.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know what my style words I was having a conversation about not knowing what my style words were, and someone said boho, and I was like,
oh yeah,
oh, is that the case? And I do think I think that applies.
Yeah.
Like that is a fit, and I feel like the turtle dove cardigan is not boho enough. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand.
So where can we? I'm looking at Carmen's beautiful Instagram with her beautifully documented finished object pictures. So there's her
with music.
That's the turtle dove cardigan, Carmen. And there's this beautiful little mock neck detail that, even though like both you and I, when we knit it, choose to wear it down. Yes. In the sense that the mock neck is not like mocked up like this in the way that some people you can make it stand up. It's in the pattern, like how to create a stand-uppy, but both you and I like sort of like the slouchiness, but I feel like this might need to go on my needles.
I love the like, just it's a V right here.
I want to try it.
Of course.
And the fabric.
I know.
The fabric is
oh my god, it's so pretty. Oh. It is
My
so
gosh.
pretty. It's so pretty.
Okay.
Oh, there was also like a cute little, like the bottom, the bind off was this rook bind off. I don't think I did it on this one.
I like
But it
this
was
rib. This is what, like
yeah, so
two
this
in
is
one?
2-in-1 rib. And then you'll see that there's a slightly different color. I didn't use the mohair when I bound off. So that's just the French press.
Oh,
And it's this rook thing where you take 3 stitches and then you pull off 1 and 3, like it's a sewn bind off.
oh,
This looks so pretty on you. Oh my god,
Okay,
it looks
this
so
line-
nicely. Right?
is incredible.
Yes. And I think it's because it's not, some cardigans you can get that are just straight down, right? But this one actually
It's like
does come in.
Slow
Yeah.
slope. I would like it shorter.
Yeah.
I would like it shorter, but oh my god. Okay, the double knit button band has been on my to-do list for a while.
Yeah.
And I have been daunted because I feel like every single time I hear about it, people are like, oh my god, but there is something about it.
It's worth it. It is so worth it. It's not that long. It's just the irony was that took me probably the same length of time as the rest of the body.
There is, okay, I was going to show something because we were on the theme, but can I switch to my failed cardigan?
Yes.
It's not a fail. It kind of is a fail. I'm not sure. It's in process. So, because I feel like the vibe that I was looking for was that one, but, okay.
This is your failed?
Yes.
Not this one?
Yes.
Oh
Okay,
no. Please
I mean,
work on me.
Y'all can help. So, I also wanted a cardigan because when I was at, when we were at Knit City, there were all of the turtle doves there,
Yes.
which is fingering into mohair. And I was like, the feeling of this is just unbelievably incredible and I need to have it. So I wanted to knit a cardigan in one fingering into mohair. So
Gorgeous.
I have this, I had this recycled cashmere. I got it from the Small Bird workshop. She doesn't carry it anymore. I got it on like super duper sale. And it's, the yarn brand is Gathering Yarns. And it's 95% recycled cashmere and 5% other fingering weight yarn. So it was like on super sale and I was like, super sale recycled cashmere, like let's do it. So I bought it and it was like sitting in stash. And the other thing also is that for those of you who aren't familiar with the Small Bird workshop in Catherine, she's based out in BC. She is a Canadian like fiber maven.
Yes. Beautiful
Who's
word.
doing so much work in terms of Canadian wool, education, and has like a really strong ethos around stuff. And so when I saw that, I didn't actually look into the company so much, but it was like, oh, Catherine has sourced this recycled cashmere.
Yeah.
Like,
I can feel good.
I can feel good about it, and so I just purchased it. So I have that, and then I wanted to do 2 mohair. So I looked at this, and I don't know if you can tell. I wanted to wash it a little bit, and so I held it with 1 strand of this gray. I have it somewhere. Maybe my favorite colored mohair of all time. This is how much I had left.
Oh god.
This is Cold Winter's Morning from Fireweed Fibre Company. Fireweed Fibre Company, Canadian dyers, and their mohair is, in terms of like the colors, is some of my favorite mohair. It is like, I mean, if that was a color, like if I were a color, I feel like that would be the color.
Softest dovey gray.
Dovey
with the
gray.
creaminess to it.
So I held with 1 strand of this, and then because I was doing cashmere, I was like, okay, go big or go home. I had some Shibui Silk Cloud left, so it's like 1 strand cashmere, 1 strand of this mohair, and 1 strand of Shibui Silk Cloud. And so the fabric that it's made is incredible. It's a moss stitch. The fabric it's made is incredible. I knit it on a also 8mm or US 8 5mm thing, and I was like referencing Olivia Pope. Like I looked at this, I'm like, this is such an Olivia Pope knit.
100%.
Now, this is not the way that you're supposed to wear the cardigan.
It should be the other. Okay, because I was wondering that. Oh
Okay.
no.
This is the Ppoppo jacket by AEGYO Knits. You all know I love AEGYO Knits. I have been eyeing this forever and ever.
Yes.
I was watching her knit it. It came out in Danish. I almost bought it in the Danish pattern
Just because you couldn't
because I couldn't wait. And I was like, our friend Hella from Danish Musings, I was like, how viable is me buying the Danish pattern? And
like,
using
wait.
Google Translate. And she's like, just wait for it. I was like, okay, fine. So that's what it looks like in the sample photo on Carolyn. There's one where it's in motion. Is there one where it's in motion? Anyhow. Like, it just looks so luscious.
Yes.
And Hella knit it, and it was also luscious. And I was like, okay, it finally came out in the English pattern. I have like the bougiest yarn combination ever. I'm gonna knit it.
She's ready for her Olivia Pope moment.
I do not feel like Olivia Pope. I feel like I'm drowning in the sweater.
It's a bit too big.
It's very big. And more importantly, like, okay, the sleeves make the sweater. I was looking at, like, I mean, I gauge swatched. I went down I went down 3 needle sizes in order to get gauge. My stitch gauge is on, my row
Really?
gauge is on, and I made, like, so I knit it to pattern with the exception of the arms. I shortened the arms by 3 inches.
By 3
According
inches?
to pattern, size 1, I'm on gauge.
Whoa.
And it looks like
what
this.
in the world?
I don't know what
And
happened.
you're still on gauge after like
Still on gauge after blocking. So I've
what?
only steam blocked it. I haven't even had the guts to wet block it
No.
because it's enormous. I looked at, I mean, to be fair, I looked at the finished object measurements and it's something like the bust size, the finished bust size is like 60 something. And I looked at it and I thought, 60 something, like, that's real big.
Yes.
But then I looked at people wearing it, and it seems to work on other people, but it is not. I feel like it's not working.
It's not
on
that
me.
it's not working. It's. I think this is another one of these times where it's like what you were picturing. It's not that.
Yeah.
But it is. It's not like it's like absolutely impossible.
It does
Like I
not
almost
feel
feel like
chic
it
at
needs
all.
to be. Yeah.
Like, I don't. So when I was like looking at the like the way that she wears it, and also like what would be fair is that, like, when you look at the finished object photos for a lot of folks, it is cropped, and a lot of people were wearing it sort of like, rather than wearing it like this, which doesn't make any sense because the sort of shoulder line is here. People are wearing it off.
Okay.
I can't. So if
You don't
this
need
could
the little
stay like
thing,
this,
like a little gather thing.
yeah.
That goes across.
If it could stay like this, I think it actually might be somewhat viable.
Yes.
But this does not stay on my shoulders at all. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I'm like,
You're
don't worry,
don't touch
I'm
me.
like, don't touch
make
it.
me- Yes.
And I made the sleeves 3 inches shorter than it was supposed to be, and I'm like drowning.
Yeah.
So what I will say is, I cast this off like a week ago, and I can't not wear it because the fabric is
Beautiful.
so good.
Yes.
But I just don't know what to do with it. Now, to be fair to the designer, she does say that because of the whole thing is double moss stitch, which I think again also is what makes the fabric so delightful. But double moss stitch, she talks about how double moss stitch wants to grow this way.
Okay.
And so her suggestion in the pattern is after you've finished it, to actually put it in the dryer.
No. I
Like
couldn't do
for a
that.
short period of time.
I know,
like
but
she'll
I
put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out, so it doesn't grow this way, because I think that's what happened.
It is. That is what
It's
it looks
so-
like. It's just so
wide. And I think, you know, in her pattern, it's like 2 strands of mohair and then a like summer yarn, like I think it's like Issir trio or something
okay.
like that. And so I wonder if, because I use cashmere, which I know nothing about, I've never used it before, I wonder if it's like heavier than a summer yarn, and so everything is sort of like slooping, because that's what I feel like is happening. Like just everything is
just
drawn down this way, and
It
I'm
kind
not.
of has a Salvador Dali.
I know. I'm just like, I feel like I'm like
you're
melting
down.
away, and not in a chic way. And I've been like playing with it. I'm like, okay, if I do this,
Right.
Does that look okay? I don't know.
Yeah.
The other thing that I can't figure out about it is like, why does the back sit so funny?
That's
Actually,
right.
that's the part that bothers me the most.
Yeah.
Is the way that it just sits on my shoulders and this weird kick out that the back is doing that I feel like is not correct, but I followed the instructions exactly. Anyway, this is my actually, because I got this at like 50% off and it's recycled cashmere, I think it's like, if you were to get 100 grand skein, it's like $30.
Oh, that's good.
Except then I got it like with 40% off.
Wow.
So like I didn't spend that much money on it, even though it's like really
cashmere.
like cashmere and shibui and all the things. It's just like the at-home sweater.
Well,
Because I don't feel like I
okay.
wouldn't wear this out. I just feel sloppy in it. But it is the coziest sweater of all time.
what if there was a, well, no, I'm just thinking of like, because you need something here, right? Like, I'm just like going back like Caddy Jacks like a while ago with when they used to do like a ribbon or something, you know? Like, what if you like had some nice like
Closure.
ribbon?
I mean, I did see that there
Because you
are a
have to
fair
keep it
number of
open.
people who are wearing it with a shawl pin here.
Yeah. See, it like that makes it better.
Like still better.
yeah.
But how I've ended up seated, like if I'm sitting, even when I'm sitting knitting, it just keeps falling off my shoulders. So I ended up actually accidentally putting it on
Upside down.
Upside
That
down.
works better.
and this is super comfortable.
Right. Yeah.
So it's possible
There was
that
a
I'm just
Vina
gonna wear it like
circle
this.
or whatever, right?
Yeah,
that could go
circle
upside
cardigan.
down.
Where I feel like this is
Yeah.
giving the vibe that I want, that I like imagine, even though it's not long. I feel
It is long.
It is long, but I mean, sorry, the sample is
Right.
knit short, and there was like a vibe that
Yes.
that I was seeing when other people were wearing it. And I feel like this looks nothing like it, but gives me the vibe. The only
Yes.
thing is that the back is way too short.
It's
It
not
doesn't
bad
look
though. It
right.
doesn't
You don't
wing.
think so?
No, I think the back looks better here than in the
Then the right side up.
right side one. Yes.
So
also you get to see this. Like that's so beautiful. This detail.
isn't it like surprising how it works?
Yes.
So I'm like, this did not turn out the way that I wanted at all, but I think
That's
it's still
pretty.
viable.
I feel like that's Olivia
Is it?
Pope.
Like, does it look funny with the short at the back? Kind
A
of.
little, but I feel better than the other way.
Yeah?
Unless you put something here
something
to like
here.
keep it.
But
you
even if
couldn't
I
make
put
it
something
tight.
there, I think it's still gonna slide off my shoulders.
I wonder, like, cause I'm picturing it like a wide.
Oh,
Because you need at least this much space.
like a little chain.
Yeah, exactly. Like something that just
One of
grabs
those, like,
here and
leather
grabs
things.
here, but gives you at least that much distance. Because I don't think it should be like this
Closed.
or like that, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it looks
Needs to be
beautiful to be
open.
hanging, but then something just to grab it here.
Yeah. So I don't know what to do. I mean, I have thought actually there's a number of things I don't love about it. One is the excess width. The other thing is the way that this is sitting somehow, like this kick thing
Right.
that's happening. Like,
Well,
I
it's
don't
just all this
understand. It's
extra
just all this extra
fabric.
fabric that's not laying in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
I did think about extending it, but okay, construction. So like we tell the truth here. There are tons of people who have knit this and it looks gorgeous. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
You cast on the back and then you cast on like the back sort of like trapezoid, you increase, then you pick up like this shoulder and then you join it all in the round and you knit back and forth. You pick up the sleeves and you knit the sleeves in the round. And it was a really nice like meditative knit because you're doing moss stitch and there's not that much shaping. Like there is a little bit of shaping here. Right.
That's an I-card, is it?
And then the whole I've never done this before. So there's a big decrease, like you can see, right? There's a big decrease and then the finishing is an I-cord. And then I actually love this finish.
Yes.
It's an I-cord. You like knit down to here and then you do an I-cord all the way around.
Wow.
So
Well, that'd be kind of like the placket.
yeah,
thing.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to actually lengthen this part, I would have to unpick the entire I-cord with 2 strands of mohair and cashmere. I was like, I don't think I have it in me.
No. I think it's still beautiful. Like it actually is still beautiful. it's more about, like, I think if I were seeing you walking around, I would be like, wow, that's a cool looking outfit.
Thank you.
Because I'd be like, that's so unique and it's big, but it's like, you know, I think that the piece is like that it would be falling off. Like it's the wearing of it. So if you can fix that.
And I wonder if, for me, like these sleeves are huge.
These are huge.
If I need to, I could unpick the I-cord and shorten the sleeves, but then I worry that the cardigan is going to look like it's T-Rex arms. Because the sleeve is actually so short, right?
Oh.
That's the other thing that I thought
Like,
about
I
doing
think
to maybe
rolling
save it.
That's okay.
Is like, do I try and shorten the sleeves, and then that helps again with
because it's from here. Oh God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Yeah. That's a tiny sleeve.
It's the tiniest sleeve ever, and so I'm like, I don't know.
It's a cap sleeve. Just
I don't know.
at your wrist.
Just at my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, now I can't unsee
Right?
it. I can't unsee
It's
it.
like a tiny little T-Rex arm. So, you know, just in
What if
case.
you pulled the whole sleeve out? Like, what if it was just
I did
there?
actually also think about that.
Yeah.
Is like, we take
And then
the
you just
entire
put
sleeve out,
put
and
the
then
I-cord there.
it becomes like a.
Yeah, and then you can make a. Oh, right. I was gonna say you can make a hat, but no, you probably would just
I mean, I
be a
don't know.
nightmare of like all of that mohair.
So
It is very. I think it's very pretty,
thank you.
but that's frustrating.
It just, you know, expectations versus reality. You're making me feel much better about it. When I
Good.
put it on, I was
Yeah.
just like, this is the opposite of Olivia Pope. This is the opposite of me feeling like
Yeah, chic
elegant and chic and complete. I feel like I'm drowning in cashmere.
Yes.
I mean, there are
But
worse
see,
things.
that's the thing. There is, and I actually
There are
think
worse
it still is an Olivia Pope kind of look,
Yeah.
like a very oversized.
But I don't know. This feels better on my shoulders. And maybe just nobody should ever look at the back of me. Ever.
Well, you're gonna probably be like sitting in a chair knitting with
It
this
is
on.
true.
And in some ways, then you won't have it. Like maybe that's a little bit.
I
more
will
comfortable to
actually
sit.
say that as I was like trying to get right with this cardigan, I was remembering that so often like I'm like, this is a total, I'm on retreat, I'm teaching yoga and meditation, this is a total like throw on.
Yeah.
And I was wearing the Uma cape
Yes.
a
And you
lot,
don't like to sit on
and
it.
I don't like to sit on it. I kept having to like
Exactly.
kick the cape back. I'm like,
Yes.
look, I don't have to kick anything back, and everybody's just looking at me this way.
100%.
So maybe it just works.
It does.
I will just sit here like this, as though it's okay. It
is
reminds
okay.
me of the which has also been on my like to knit list forever, but I haven't actually made it happen. The Big Cozy by Andrew
I was
Mowry.
just thinking that too.
That I'm
Me
like,
too.
oh, I've gotten the Big Cozy, and like how lovely that this beautiful detail,
Yeah, you get to see it there.
this beautiful detail of these like faux seams. It actually, I feel like it actually like looks nice in this direction.
It does.
But the fabric,
I know.
like,
You have to let me put this one on because like I want to.
I wonder how it
in
would look on you with the
cashmere.
width.
Well, my longer arms and everything will probably help.
Might actually help.
Wow, that is long because we have significantly different arm length.
There's something about the weight of it that just
Oh, look, see, still.
yeah. I don't know.
Oh my god, though. Cashmere with double mohair.
know.
Oh my
I
god.
know. Like I wonder if the yarn choice was where I went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
In that like the cashmere it's heavy somehow, and so it just like the whole thing, the energy of the whole thing is like Salvador
Pulling.
Dali, like
Exactly. I can feel it.
you can feel it sort of like it wants to come down.
Yeah, I definitely feel it. And it has more of a heaviness than even the like BFL, you know, like my double mohair.
Yeah.
That one feels still light. This one, I wonder if it's also because the sleeves, I feel the weight of the I-cord, if this makes any sense.
Yeah.
It feels weighted down, like it's pulling the sleeves and things down.
Just the like energy of it is like
Yeah, weird.
and I feel like it's getting wider with time.
It's only gonna
Because
get
of the
worse.
like I feel like this is just stretching out more and more.
Yep. Yep.
Because there's this weightedness that's coming from it. So again, like, you know, yarn choice matters.
Absolutely. Well, we were talking with Nina I don't know if that's her last name, Polly. You should look her up. Actually, I show. Oh no. Yeah, talk about her. She's she lives out in France. Beautiful Instagram. She's a watercolor painter too.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe I'll show. So she makes these beautiful watercolors of flowers, and she recently had like a hydrangea series that I was like, Nina, like so I bought the prints, and then I was like, could you design, like I've been wanting to get a barn swallow tattoo, and I was like, would you like design something for me to put on? And so she did, and so that I ended up just getting this. It's still like wrapped up, so you won't be able to see, but
Look at it.
It's a little like hers obviously is more of the watercolor, so it's a little lighter. We had to go a little bit darker tattoo wise, but it's so pretty. I just am it's so dynamic. She's such an artist. Anyway, so we were all talking about doing a like a shawl or something for like a summer shawl, and she pulled. There's this thing that has a similar look. This is why you said you're not going to make it, because you
might make
just
it anyway.
made it. And so Jackie will pull it up. It's this gorgeous something knitwear. Refined knitwear, and it's like a shawl, but a shawl with like a little bit of arms, and then you tie it, and it's in I think double moss stitch too. Anyway, getting to the point, what Nina said. Oh God, sorry. What Nina said was she stuck with the original yarn, like because she didn't want to mess with it. She wanted that exact thing, and that really stuck with me. I'm like, I'm gonna do the same. Like I'm gonna buy, I think it's easier or whatever, like specific ones.
Trio one and alpaca one.
And alpaca one. So like you can't just probably change to a wool. Like it's going to be a different look. It's going to have a different outcome. How gorgeous is this? And then she ties it like, oh my God.
No, it just works.
I feel like I'm going to just make that. Like again, these times where you just make like
Sorry, I'm having a moment
like
now. I'm looking at it.
I thought of that. If you could extend it?
Well, what I love about this actually as I'm looking at it is the short sleeve. And so now I'm thinking, like, if you look at the cardigan, it's a short sleeve. And so now I'm thinking maybe I will rip this back.
I think you should take the sleeves off. I do.
And it might.
And maybe you can salvage it and it can become a hat. Or
It can definitely become a hat.
Oh my God. Or even if you just cut it. Oh, it's not stretchy enough. I was thinking if you cut it and then fix it and then use it as like a snoot or something. Yeah. This is really, really nice though.
Like the thing is,
you don't want to take this off.
The fabric is so good that I feel like the fabric makes up for the fact that it doesn't look great.
It's not that it looks bad too. Like I think that you are.
I'm still in that like grieving of like expectations versus reality.
It's not exactly what you're looking for, but it doesn't look bad.
Thank you.
And it is absolutely just to put on.
Feels so nice.
I do wonder actually though if you take the sleeves off.
I think I should take the sleeves off.
It just might be a little bit warm and cold again, you know, like that piece. Yeah. Like there is something very nice and cozy about at least this length of sleeve. Like we have such significantly different arms, like, and this is almost too long for me. Like, and that's 3 inches off. Like how the?
I know. I was like, I don't understand. I do not understand. I checked the gauge like a million times. That said, it was funny. I checked the gauge before I blocked. Well, I did a gauge swatch. And I checked the gauge, like I didn't do a proper gauge swatch. I did a gauge swatch like about yay big. And the amount that it changed between like knitting it and blocking it, I wet blocked it and it changed like 2.5 stitches.
Wow.
Which is not a ton when I think about moss stitch. Like pre and post blocking for a swatch that's 4 inches.
Yes.
Post blocking it expanded 2.5 stitches. To me, that's not huge. Like that's going from like, I don't know, 20 maybe.
Especially if you're this many, like that.
But what was I gonna say? I adjusted, like I had gone down on the needle size in order to get the gauge according to pattern.
Yeah.
And when I knit it pre-blocked, the gauge that I got was was not quite it, but at like post blocking,
it was right.
It was right. But then post steam blocking the whole piece, and then I checked the gauge, like it changed a lot more.
Right.
And if I because it's moss stitch, if I tugged it down, you know how you did for your salty air tea?
Yes.
Like if I tug it long this way, then I get gauge. But when I actually wear it,
yes,
it just keeps expanding widthwise because of this sort of like the heaviness of it.
Yes.
So yeah.
And do we know much? Like, do we? I don't. Do I know much about cashmere?
No.
Like even its like
Nothing.
properties.
Nothing.
Like, is it like wool? Does it have like? Can we just sub like wool, cashmere for wool? Maybe not.
Maybe
it's
not.
a completely different.
Yeah.
Like it's a goat. You know, like so it's like not even the same species. And like
the memory
alpaca,
of
we
it or
can't.
whatever.
We know that. So like
yeah.
But I think sitting here, to me, I feel
really good on
very
you.
like Olivia Pope.
Thank you.
Right?
It's just a seated sweater.
You're sitting. Exactly.
Just don't stand
You're
up
just
and
at
don't
the
look at the
front
back.
of class, and you're just, sitting on a bolster and all cozy and feeling really like classy.
It's funny because it really, I think we have this conversation a lot, or I sort of have this conversation a lot around like, are we knitting for how it looks? Or are we knitting for how it feels?
Yes.
And ideally you're finding a balance. And if I closed my eyes and never thought about how that looked, I would love this knit. You know what I'm saying?
And you can work on this story because it is not as bad, I think, as what you think.
What I think.
I think soon you're not even going to think about it. It doesn't look like the Ppoppo, whatever.
It looks nothing.
It's not nothing like it, but it's not the
like
same.
it.
But it isn't that far from what, this other knit, this refined knitwear. It's got a similar, like, blousy, flowy feeling to that one. So if you just see it that way, that you accidentally knit it, as opposed to...
This is the refined knitwear one.
Oh, God.
So beautiful.
I have to cast that one on.
Right? It was so funny, though, when Nina was like, what about this one?
Yeah, you're like...
I was like, I love it. I also feel like I just knit it.
You did just knit it.
And I think when she had sent it, this wasn't off the needles yet. Like I hadn't finished it, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're so kindred. I already have this. And then I put it on and I was like, I do not.
But you do feel wise.
Do feel like the fabric. It's just
and
and since I cast it off, like it's been like a little bit cooler. It is the thing that I grabbed to put on.
100%. Of course, as you should.
It feels so good.
Seinfeld. Cashmere.
It's the first time I've knit with cashmere, and I probably won't be my last, but I don't see myself.
I feel like I will choose cashmere patterns. Like, so something made for cashmere to take in that.
Yeah.
It's why I want to do I will do this refined knitwear one. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get that alpaca because I can't sub in a wool for alpaca without something changing probably.
So this is
Fungus
Shawl Cardigan Light by Refined Knitwear. And it's knit up in one strand of alpaca 1 held together with one strand of Trio 1. These are both Easier yarns. Trio is a blend of 50% linen, 30% cotton, and 20% lyocell. And see, I think the genius of holding those two things together is like, I don't know how a linen cotton lyocell blend is going to feel, but holding it with the alpaca will make it have a nice sensory experience for the knitting.
And have that hazy look to it.
Yeah. But this is one of those patterns. Where's the still one? Where I do think like technically thinking about sizing is important because the proportions on how it's perfect on her, but like how does that actually translate onto like somebody else's body?
Looking on Ravelry.
Yeah, I haven't done the,
really pretty.
the dive. But...
And does it stay tied and all these different?
Yeah. It looks super cute she's wearing it with like a dress. Like styling makes such a huge difference. And I think that's something that I am learning, especially with like AEGYO Knits, is that her ability to style and find proportion to her body.
Yes. It fits her so
amazing.
Perfectly.
And because my body shape is not like her body shape, I'm noticing with the AEGYO Knits patterns, like this is the second one, right? Like the Geo sweater was the first one that I knit by her. And I made adjustments. And the Euros sweater, which was also this big oversized thing, I made a ton of adjustments.
Yes.
And so she's somebody, and the cape, like the expectations versus reality on her patterns is not quite for me. But they're so beautiful that it's worth it for me to like make the technical changes. I just need to be mindful with other patterns that I'm making, that I'm sticking to those finished like the finished
objectives kind of thing. Like to make it
technical
happen.
piece.
Yeah, getting back to what that person said, because you are a technical knitter.
Yeah.
Well, in that sense.
In that sense.
And intuitively technical.
But this, like, it's the first time I've knit a cardigan like this as well. Like, that's the other thing, you know, like you give me a top-down raglan or a top-down, like, drop shoulder, like I know my measurements, but for that I didn't know my measurements.
Yes.
And I do have like a ready-to-wear sweater that is really slouchy, that has this kind of shape, except no arms, and the circumference on that is the same, which is why I measured it out, because I looked at 64. I'm like, there's no freaking way. And then I tried on my ready-to-wear, but my ready-to-wear doesn't have sleeves, and so
there you go. And I also would wonder about your shoulder width.
Yeah.
Because my shoulders are wider than yours, and it's sitting. Yeah. Like, so this isn't, you were saying it'll fall off when you're even sitting here. Like, this isn't falling off.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I just have enough, like, that width.
It's the, like, I feel like we talked about shoulder angles. My shoulders are slopier than yours. I think the width is the same, but yours are...
I don't think the width is the same. No, because every time I don't think you're smaller than me, and always, I think. Because whenever you put my sweaters on, they always look bigger.
Yeah.
And whenever I put your sweaters on, well, even here, they always look smaller than they do on you. And here it's like, I'm like, when you were first doing, I'm like, oh, well, maybe this will be mine. Because I'm like,
I mean, it looks great on
too
you,
big on
like,
you.
you sitting here, it looks so good on your shoulder. Like, the line is really nice. Like, again, interesting. Yeah. Okay, sleeves make the sweater. And I also feel like there needs to be some sort of like shoulder width class.
This is the thing. I feel like, and I think we've talked about that too. Yeah. And there's more talk about that back, your shoulder width.
This distance.
From here.
From here to here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so much of how the thing lies, right? And is obviously making, even in my little salty air, right? Like, it's like so many things, like how that all is lying is my shoulders, not my
It's
bust.
not even upper bust,
no,
full bust.
That stuff's just straight. It doesn't make any difference really in this whole thing. It's
this. And I think that's, when I think about like staple sweater, right? I think it's finding the shaping.
Yes.
That's this. And that's, again, where I think row gauge, I feel like row gauge, there's a key here around the way that a yoke sits, where row gauge matters, because it's the angles of the increases.
Yes.
Yeah. So if anybody has any resources, because there's got to be somebody who's stumbled upon this before us. If you have resources, we would love to have them and share them and play with them.
Yes, please. But I do think it's like a paradigm shift is happening. Like how we kind of grow, I'm not doing any of the designing, but like designers, like there's kind of this movement of understanding things, and people kind of come to it together in these like waves of like, it was this, and then there's bust starts.
I feel like upper bust was like a shift.
Yes, because the bust start idea, Jacqueline Cieslak was very early, I think, on that front, and then I think that's where people are going much more now of like how important that is, and like Amy Scher makes.
Yeah.
If you check out a recent post she had of one of her testers, which was such a cool thing, because the tester,
I want to knit that top.
I know, it's so beautiful.
Pull it up.
The tester made 2 versions and did one without bust starts and one with, and she actually found that the one without, there's a curve of her, well, you'll see, because where her breasts are, it's moving it out, and then it's pulling it up in that middle section, whereas with the darts everything lies straight, and it's just such a, it's just great. Yeah, there we go.
So this is the Phoebe top by Amy Scher, and the tester is Sarah, and she knit 2 versions, one with same size, one with bust darts, one without bust darts.
Look at the significant difference.
It's so amazing.
And I remember when I was testing for Jacqueline, way back when she was first doing this, and when we were talking about should you put the bust darts or not, there was a discussion about the distance or the difference between your upper bust and your, I think it's called full bust. And that if it's more than 2 inches, you need bust darts, which at that time wasn't for me, but now I actually think things have changed with hormonal changes, and
bodies change.
They change.
Bodies change.
In not a bad way. I'm okay with it. But there's a difference.
I just thought about that ratio, and I was like,
So do now, like you know, adding
you
these
need
things,
bust
and they're
darts.
not. I remember feeling like, oh my god, no, that like I remember at the time going, oh good, I don't need them because that's scary. But they're just short rows.
Just short rows.
Like it's not actually.
You did it
anything.
when you knit that bralette.
Yes,
bralette.
that's right. And I added even short rows. To
I
the
mean,
thing.
I just want to take a moment actually this is on my to knit list if I can get over
It's
my
so
aversion to summer knits.
But that one you could wear even in the winter, like over
Yeah,
a shirt,
true.
right? Like that's going to be a beautiful vest
I don't know if
in the
you could
winter.
see if you can see.
The
Come on,
cables.
focus. The cables and like I have just such tremendous appreciation for Amy. I have a lot of her patterns in my library that for whatever reason just haven't made it on the needles. But the appreciation of this, it's like it's this beautiful cable knit top, and to in my head to figure out bust darts on a cable knit top
Yes,
and for it to look
true.
seamless and gorgeous is incredible. That's
That is
what I
just a
thought
really
that's when I think about the new Sonder fleece and flax, that BFL linen mix, this is what I had tagged in my head. But
You should
that
do it.
salty air tea is also looking real good.
Well, we got two. Luckily, you can make both.
Okay, what else do you have?
What do you have?
I have this, which is new.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it, or you want to break
sure.
from talking?
Actually, this will be quick. So this is actually maybe the reason why I started thinking about like staple sweater cowl. This is the Chaika top by Midori Hirose. I knit it in Sonder yarn. Sunday morning DK held with a strand of mohair on a US 10 for a 14 stitch gauge.
Nice.
So like wonderful.
Look at that beautiful collar. Ay, ay, ay.
I feel like the fit on this, on me, I just love how it is.
It's perfection.
I love that it's a V-neck, but it's not like a V-neck
Yes.
that is I'm worried about in being professional settings and
Yes.
the girls falling out.
Like the rib wave had
Like-
that feel.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
There's
You
like a
look
2x2
like you
rib.
feel
I
just
feel very
easy in it.
easy and breezy and done in it.
Yeah, but like elevated, right? Like it's
Thank
not like it's so work appropriate, and you could also throw it around in the house.
And it has slouchy sweatshirt vibes,
Completely.
right? So if you've been here for a
Beautiful.
while, we went on like an easy like Sunday morning kick, and that also like I thought that would be my staple sweater, and it's not that it's not. I just think that this has taken it's like the easy like Sunday morning vibes,
yes,
V-necked, and
Yes.
there's something about it
it's so
about this for me, the
beautiful.
ease and the length that just worked out beautifully. The modifications that I made to this pattern, actually this is one of those. So Midori Hirose, amazing designer.
She's so
good.
Like classic, beautiful patterns,
And
after
also
one after another.
her patterns are like, she's somebody who she designed the ranunculus, right?
Yep.
I'm not having brain melt. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. She like her patterns, they're like 4 patterns in one. Like
Yeah.
and
Right.
she also does a lot of like, they look simple and easy and breezy, and they are, but there are all these little details that she does that assist with fit and like these little pieces.
Yes.
So this is the sample,
I love it
which
with
is
the
a
other color.
duotone, and I just decided that I wanted it single.
It's beautiful.
But it comes like the pattern gives you the option to knit it in like I think 2 strands of mohair to make it this like ethereal like short sleeve. There's a short sleeve, like there are just so many different versions of the pattern.
Yes.
I knit it almost a pattern. The only thing that I changed was the increases to make them, I think she was doing like a knit front to back, and I switched them to the make one lefts and make one rights because I actually knit all of this ribbing and it was just like super messy, and so I adjusted adjusted the increases, which then I went in and looked at the most helpful patterns, and like everybody had done this, but I was too eager to cast on. I was like 14 stitch gauge, I just want to do it.
This will be done in the weekend.
I love the fit.
It's so pretty.
It sort of has that like increases are happening here, that contiguous sleeve that I feel like just fits my shoulders and the slope of my shoulders really well.
Yeah.
What else was I gonna say? Okay, the one thing is when you look at this, you think, oh, stockinette sweater, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's knit in the round, right?
Yeah.
There is so much knitting and purling in this.
Really?
Yeah. So, because
right, because you have to do this all probably.
like all of this is knit.
Yes.
Essentially kind of flat.
Until
about like here.
Until about 4 inches. Or
so,
yes.
I was like, oh, I'm still doing knitting and purling. To me, worth it.
Yeah. Totally.
Love it.
And you did beautiful. Like there's no rowing out or whatever.
Thank you.
I love it.
What I wanted to talk about though, that sort of leads back to this conversation about mohair is I knit this in the color Whale Watching held with the mohair Delilah. So this is Whale Watching by itself.
Mm-hmm.
This is Delilah.
Yeah.
Right? And so
like, wouldn't you think that would
it's like shocking to me?
But no. It makes the entire thing just a new color. And it calms this down and makes this one all fun.
And I think that adding this mohair, we were talking about how like mohair can make something work appropriate.
Yes.
I mean, I love this color.
It is beautiful.
It is like,
it's a beautiful gray.
It's a gray. I love it. And I bought it and I was like, I think that this might be too sweatshirty a color. Like it might be too casual a color for it to be like work appropriate.
Right.
But then you just like add this, and I feel like part of why I love this so much is I feel like the color and the fit, there's just something about it that I think, if I knit the same sweater in like my classic plain gray, I think it would read quite casual.
Maybe. Well, I still think if you had done with a mohair, so plain gray, I think it would be casual. This gray with a matching mohair would also be beautiful.
Yeah.
But what I also, first of all, there's so much dimension too. Like you won't be able to see it on the camera, but there's so much changing. Like it almost looks like you used a variegated, what's it called? Mohair to me, because it actually is changing so much, because sometimes I'm seeing the gray and sometimes I'm seeing the purple, and then sometimes I'm seeing the white silk. So it's just moving all through. But the second piece I would say is that, would you ever make a sweater this color?
No.
Like there's no way I'd see you in this. I mean, it would be beautiful, but you wouldn't. This has just created, this is so you.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah. And I do think this is like it's hard to capture on camera. The color of it changes so much. It has that sort of dynamic.
This one, I remember color matching with this, like with different things that people were using, and it would change colors. Like whatever you would hold it with, it would start going blue, purple, gray, just basic gray. Yeah.
Interesting. The color combination, I had actually wanted to pair this with something else, with another mohair that was a more like gray mohair. But the mohair that Melissa had in stock is called Ghosted, and it had a really blue undertone.
Blue one,
And Melissa was like, I don't know if you can you'll see it like depending on your screen, right? You could take perfect photography, but like looking at Whale Watching on my phone versus on my laptop versus like in person, it's like basically 3 completely different colors.
Yeah.
And so what I will say about this is like the lavender undertone on this is really, it really like it reads gray, but the undertone is very purple.
Yes.
Which is what I think made this work.
Yes.
Right?
100%. Yeah.
But I love this pattern. I do like this. I think a couple more.
Yeah, I feel like I want to make this one.
Are in my future.
Yeah. Well, and again, these like 14 stitch gauge. I mean, yes, there's lots of flat. It sounds like it's lots of purling, so that'll slow it down a little bit. And ribbing. That's a lot of ribbing, I guess. But it's beautiful.
I feel like this went really quickly. The sleeves go really quickly. And
your sleeves are.
Yeah, it's true. But I don't know. I didn't think of it. I feel like this one I whipped out.
Yeah. Well, you just arrived, well, as usual, at Knit City. She just arrives and has this, and I'm like, well, okay, where did that come from? I didn't have any idea.
So I used, like, this is what I have. I had 3 skeins of the Sunday morning DK, and this is what I have left over from the 3rd skein, so I'll weigh it, but it's like 2 and a bit. And then I had 2 skeins of the mohair, and this is what I have left over, so I don't have way, but like it did not take
Didn't take very much.
very much. But yeah, do you want to turn it on?
Do I want to turn it on? Always. And then I was just thinking, I even have some DK sitting upstairs. I could just, well, there's so many things. There's so many things for us to like make. Ooh, this feels beautiful.
Oh my god, so good.
Oh, I love this.
Right, so
That is so flattering.
I think it's the V-neck for everybody.
It is. And yeah, again, we're different sizes, but it still looks nice on me, I think, too.
Just again, you know, drape is helpful in terms of fit, but what I also love is when you, oh my god, that looks so good on you. That looks so pretty. When I look at the different versions on, like, of other people wear it, like some people wear it with the V more like,
oh yeah,
like you can play with it so that it's more of a V, or you can sort of have it seated a little bit further back in order, like depending on how it looks. And I think that's part of what allows it to like land and fit in a way that you can adjust it on your shoulders, right? So that it lays correctly for the shape or the slope of your shoulder. And the ribbing, I think, is a big part of that, right? Because the ribbing will just adjust to you.
You have options.
You have options with it. So I think it's a great one. Let me just check on.
I like how it comes to here. I like that it's a V that comes to your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Something like spacey about that I like. Oh my god, this is so pretty.
14 stitches by 20 rows is her sizing, and it's sized from extra small to 3XL. It doesn't actually have the finished bust measurements, unfortunately. But what I will say around it is that this collar part is very similar for many of the sizes, and it's really easy to mod the size. But I also,
I think it's so pretty, and I want this color.
I feel like it's just like, it's like a stealth. This is so stealthy.
I remember when we were at Knit City, so what okay, some of you are like, what are you guys talking about Knit City? Like, what's going on? 2 hours in, we're actually going to finally inform you. So we were helping out at the Sonder booth at Knit City, which I'm sure everybody knows what Knit City is, but it's like a big yarn
Knit City Toronto
convention. Yes,
put on by Knit Social. It was a
2-day with the marketplace and 3 days, I think, with the
workshops and stuff. It was in Toronto, which is really close to where we are, like an hour drive from where we live. At a convention center, there were like over 100 vendors.
It was many people. It was
wild.
such a wild. It was so we had the fortune to be able to just help out with Melissa. We literally were just like, can we volunteer and just like come and help?
Can I give backstory? Okay, so some people were at like this came up in the booth, and so I feel like it's important for I want to share the story. We don't work for Sonder Yarn Co.
No.
What actually happened is Melissa had reached out to us after Carmen had knit the fleur shawl, and then we ran our fleur along Cal last year. And at that point, at least I had never exchanged a single message or a word with Melissa. And I think because of the Cal, Melissa became aware of us and sent us a message being like, I love your fleurs. Yes. Sometime around, like it was leading up to Rhinebeck.
Yes.
And it so happened that we got that message, and I was like, oh my God, Melissa Clulo is in my DMs. Totally. What is happening? Fangirl moment. And then I was like, we're gonna be at Rhinebeck, so like, and we have a house, and like, we're gonna like, if you happen to have time and you want to like come over, then you can. And Melissa's like, I have plans. Like that's so sweet. That's so nice. I unfortunately have plans, which is
I'm pretty famous,
which would be appropriate.
She would ever say that.
And then what ended up happening was like through no fault of anybody's, her plans fell through,
Yes.
and she was like, and actually we're free.
Yeah, her and Lisa.
Her and Lisa. And I was like, this is our address, like, just come over. What is happening? So that's where we sort of like met Melissa.
Yeah, and found out how
amazing she is. And we're lucky to sort of develop a friendship. And then at some point, Melissa was like, I can't remember if we said, are you going to be at Knit City?
She was
or
thinking
she was
about it,
about
and then
Knit
she
City.
decided she's going to do it.
Yeah, she's like, I'd really like to do Knit City. However, I'm nervous because like I don't have staff, or like I don't know who's going to help.
Do you know of anyone?
Oh yes. Do you know of anyone who might be able to
help
help
me? Be able to work in the
booth?
Yes.
And we were like, we'll work. And then I'm like, I have no experience in retail. I don't know how to do anything, but like we're eager. Can we come and help you in the booth? So that's how we ended up.
Yeah, she was, and she was very surprised. She was like, that was not what she was expecting. Like, she was just like, do you know of anybody there who would want to come work?
Yeah.
And we're like, can we come work?
Hi.
I actually think I said.
You did.
I said, yes, please. And she's like, oh, okay. I wasn't actually asking, but great.
But we've all told ourselves into it. So.
And it was everything I was hoping. So there's very few things I find as an adult that I get really excited about. You know, like Christmas isn't there anymore. You know, like Christmas is, I get excited about it, but it doesn't really it's never what I'm hoping it will be. This was one I found myself counting the days. I couldn't wait. I was so excited to be there, to be with people, to like meet people, because I knew like as we were talking about it, people were going to be there.
What were you excited about? Like when you were like, okay, we're doing the thing. We're going to be there. There's some sort of like dreamscape happening in your mind.
Yes.
Like what was the dreamscape?
It was exactly what happened. So it was that
you were
people
excited
would
about.
come, other knitters and crocheters, people who love yarn and want to make would come, and we would together just get enthusiastic about whatever they're making, and then put colors together and try things and like have ideas, and then just like them. And I'm hoping that people like who were there, like, please do tag us if you like make and you put it on Instagram. Like, I feel like I was part of the creation of these objects, these future objects. Like, it's like I'm part of that whole thing. And just the enthusiasm and the like love and colors and putting them all together, and with this yarn that we just think is the best. And
yeah,
it was everything I was hoping for. It was everything.
So, I don't know if anybody's interested in sort of like the behind the scenes in terms of like, because that would be our third sort of knitting event. For me, that's the third knitting event that I've ever been to. We went to the Fiber Fort in Hamilton, which was this tiny thing, and then we went to Rhinebeck, including the satellite events. And then there was this. And it was so interesting for me to get to sort of be on the behind the scenes sort of
what a
side of things. It was like, first of all, there is so much work that goes into that we weren't really so much involved in. I also skipped out on the worst part.
I was part of it. That
Part
was
was
so fun. Imagine box bags and that you go into them and they're just all colorways, and you're like, oh, that's what this one looks like, and like it was, and they're putting it on the things.
But like so much prep, so much organization, and then this sort of like, I don't know, frantic magic
Friends
of like friends. Yeah. Like there's nothing. And then then there's like
gates open.
But even like the space, like there's nothing in the space. And then like in how many hours of like building shelves, and
took a lot to build it. Yeah. That was like a afternoon.
Like a whole afternoon of like basically, so like convention center, like hotel, giant ballroom kind of situation, that like over the course of like 6 to 8 hours, it goes from like just like carpet and like lines
sort of
and like walls that are made of like fabric and like pipe, to just like 100
like
little
a store,
100 little like pockets of just creative explosion.
Yes.
Right?
They were like little homes. I don't know how to describe it, but it was like our home for the 2 days.
It was like I don't know, there was something so deeply satisfying to me. I mean, we didn't actually walk around because very much like we were,
I was on such a high, I didn't even go to the bathroom the first day. Yeah. And then the second day, I think I just went once.
Yeah. But it was like 100 different creative universes all in one place. And it was like amazing. I mean, it was dense. It was like way denser than I thought it was going to be. I was kind of shocked by how dense it was.
Yes.
But these little, I mean, I don't know what size the booths were. Like there were obviously different size booths, but like you would walk from booth to booth and like there was a completely different creative energy from one, and the idea that like, you know, it was 8 hours of course bringing like months and months of work in, but it was like these little, bijou keeps coming into my mind. It's just like little tiny creative worlds, treasures and people, and like the way that you could like, one booth was completely different from another booth, even though for all intents and purposes it's color and fiber and making and yarn and all of the making adjacent kinds of things, that there was such a diversity of like how it felt and the creative energy in that space. Absolutely. With like 100 vendors. I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, like every single one of my senses is like, like there's just so much excitement and so much enthusiasm. It was so so lovely. And something happened to me in Knit City that I never thought would ever happen. It happened to you as well. I was completely creatively satiated.
Yes.
To the point that, you know, there was a time where Melissa was like, go and shop, like you go and walk around. And we walked down one aisle and we were like, I was like, I'm full. Yes. Like I'm full on knitting and colors and ideas.
Vicarious knitting too. Like it's almost like I was making all these projects. Yes. Like I'd already made a bunch of projects. Yes. That everybody else is going to be knitting.
I was like, this was dream knitting.
Oh, on
frenzy.
Speed.
On speed. It was amazing. It was such an amazing process. I remember walking around and you and I were like, I was like, I mean, everything is so beautiful. And I knew that I wanted, there were like people that I knew were there that I wanted to see, that I was like, I think I'm done. I think I've actually like gotten full on knitting and thinking about knitting and colors and ideas. Like I was just like, it wasn't like I was tired. It wasn't like I was like burnt out. I was just like, I'm so full. I don't think I can eat any more knitting joy. Like there's like no more room to be like, what am I gonna make? Like I was completely satiated for like, I think up to 2 weeks after the event. Like for the 2 weeks afterwards, I had minimal desire to dream about knitting. I had the desire to like have things on my needles and I was knitting things. But I was like done. I was like, I even now I feel like in a creative lull, in the sense that I'm like, I don't really know what I'm gonna knit next, because I feel like I knit 500 things in 2 days.
And I hope that's coming across. Like that's exactly how I feel too. It's as if we've knit it. And it's awesome. Because that means, although we don't get the benefit of wearing the things, but that enjoyment of the creation, what is it going to be? And you have a different person coming each time, right? And so they come with their energy and their different ideas. And so there are color combinations that maybe I wouldn't have like gone to immediately, right? But then I'm like, oh, like, yes, oh my God, yes, you know, like, and the different people and how it fits and like,
and the synergy.
Holding things up and people would hold them up and you would just see such a difference in like what they look like, you know, like that color, you know, versus this one, and not because the colors are any better or worse, but it's like that one on that person.
It was the greatest. It was the greatest experience.
The greatest.
That was the greatest. So thank you, Melissa, for letting us do delightful. That. Thank you for all of you who came and were willing to like play with us.
Yes.
It was like, I feel like we sort of came full circle because, you know, for example, Rhinebeck weekend, like it gets a lot of play, right? Like if you're a knitter and you're in North America and like New York is a drive, like for us, it's a drivable distance and it's available. Like there's all of this like lore and all these like big expectations around Rhinebeck. And of course, because everyone is different and your experience is different, because there are so many options of like what your Rhinebeck experience is going to be like, of course you're going to have different experiences. But I remember, like, I think for both of us, we had a lot of peak experiences. One of the peak experiences was this process of being in the Lamb and Kid booth with all of their colors, play, like doing color play with like
Yes.
our friend Lily and like the people that we didn't know next to us. We were there for so long because we were just dream knitting with people.
Yes.
And the experience of being at Knit City and being able to be at Sonder we just had like 2 full days of like, I mean, I don't know how many people, but like I don't think it would be an exaggeration to say 100.
Oh, more.
Like
100 people?
Like 100 projects more,
Oh.
right? I don't know. I have no idea.
I
It was
have
just
no
like
idea.
from 9 until 5, we were just
And then 9 to 3 or
to
something.
9 to 3, we're just
Constant.
creating
But
projects.
each person too might have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 projects.
That's right.
So it was so much beauty. And as you're talking, you were sorry.
No, go
you're
ahead.
about to fill it. Well, when you were saying full circle, what's so interesting is that I was remembering back even then a year before that when we started our podcast and we're over on my dining room table playing with the colors.
Yeah.
Do you remember we were like doing like color, like
Color
right from
combination.
there?
Yeah.
Like, you know, people were yelling out like, you know, winter, and we
Yes,
would like
yes,
pull
yes.
our different like things and be
Yes.
like, this is my representation of winter.
Yes.
Like we've done this from the beginning, not even knowing.
Like this, I feel
This
like
joy.
I landed on like a real deep understanding of like what this craft gives us, like beyond
Yeah.
beautiful garments and beyond like, you know, like garments and shawls that are talismans and community. What I realized is like it's the creative synergy
Yes.
that like alchemy
Yes, that's right.
is-
that makes something that never could exist without the individuals interacting.
and like the number of one of our friends asked us like, what was your favorite moment? Like, what was your like peak experience? And there were so many, but I think for me, the peak experience was watching people find their find like
Their color,
like there was
the
there
thing
it's
there,
like it's like your heart is telling you a message, right? Like we
Yeah.
all have a creative heart. We all have a some part of us that just like knows,
Yes.
right? It's like watching that sort of inner thing get matched in the external,
Yes.
and in which you could find, because I mean, we're biased, of course, but like you really, it's hard to go wrong with Melissa's colors. Like,
really
like I was
is.
kind of like, there was a part of me that was like nervous. I was like, am I going to be able to like, do I have the skills to help people find color combinations?
Right.
Like,
and
can
am
I
gonna be
actually
caught
do
in
this?
my own sort of
Like, can I, you know,
zone?
but then I'm like, it's Melissa. So, you know, if I sneezed and fell on 2 skeins, it would probably be fine. Like I really
Yeah,
can't
it
go,
really did
like
work
it'd be
well.
really hard to make something ugly, you know,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
but the fact that like you would, like people would come and some people had projects, some people did not have projects, some people were just like there and like fell into the color, like the samples. But there's this moment that happened, and it happened in a different way for every single person and through a different timeline and through a different process. But there was this moment in which like whatever their heart's desire was met by they found it.
Yeah.
And there would be this moment where it's like, and now it's yours,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is it.
Go
and
for
this
it.
is like filling whatever it is that our creative urge or creative desire is.
Yeah.
Like we found it.
Yes.
And not only have like, and we found it not like we found a beautiful color combination, but we found the fit between the yarn, the color, the pattern, and you.
That's right.
There was
That's
just
right.
this moment, and I realized that, you know, we're both therapists, and I love therapy for many different reasons. But I do live for a breakthrough moment.
Yeah.
You know, when like it's just like,
epiphany,
you know, the
like, and
epiphany,
they,
the
like,
aha,
yeah.
like the shift. And I was like,
There's so
this
many of
was
them.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Except like it was like 100,
Yeah.
hundreds in the span of 2
Yes.
days, just like again and again,
Again and again.
and again, people finding themselves.
Within like, yeah, sometimes it'd be
Finding-
5 minutes.
No,
of,
5
like,
minutes, and you could see like there'd be
The
this
light.
moment where the light, it just yes, exactly, it was
it was
that.
exactly that. Yeah.
And people claiming like the colors that they loved and going outside of their comfort zone, then coming back. Like it was just, I was like, this is like the arc of therapy
Yes.
in
like
in a much shorter period
Yes.
of time related to
Yes.
yarn. But it's the
Light
same
speed.
energy. Like it was
Yes.
the same energetic thing, like over and
It
over and
was.
over and over.
And not
again.
knowing how it would be though too, because sometimes it was
Yeah,
the
you don't
people that were
know.
like, they'd start with their comfort zone and then they'd move out and feel like that's it for some reason. I don't understand, but it is. And then other ones would start like the opposite and like come back to their comfort zone and feel like, that's actually what I need here.
Yeah.
And like that, it was all, you don't know. You just don't know until you see it and it all comes up and you're like,
it was so
That's it.
incredible. It was so incredible to witness. And it was like this moment of really recognizing like the potential of this
Yes.
craft to be really healing and restorative for somebody's sense of self, for your inside being.
And
You
yet
know?
this individual craft though.
Yes.
That what we're talking about it could have happened on their own.
Sure.
But there also, I think, was this like what we see as being such an individual craft. There was such a highlight of the community aspect and the like not next level, because that assumes like hierarchy, but like that there's a different thing that can be created with another human that's not going to knit your thing, that's not going to ever wear your thing. We're part of this this interaction created something.
And it felt so sacred to me. Like I will use the word, like it really felt like really, really deeply meaningful.
Yes.
Like
uplifting soul connection.
Like I just
So
felt like,
wild.
is there anything more profound than this? Like, you know?
I know. I don't think so. Well, there are things.
Well, of course.
As uplifting.
Right.
Yeah.
But it really was so joyful and such a delight. And so heartwarming to be in a space where I felt like that's the energy that was happening sort of everywhere for folks, like whether it was themselves having a moment of connecting with yarn, or whether it was them and their friend having a moment of connecting with each other and connecting with this like creative process, or strangers
that
or
would
like
comment
with each
on
other.
their thing.
Yes. And like the number of like this is what we did at Rhinebeck is like you just you like lean over and you're like starting to talk to somebody about like their like it was just to your point around like, you know, as an adult, how many places and spaces like that's I left being like, how many places and spaces are there where this is possible?
Exactly. And I don't think very many. And I was like, when do I get to do it again?
I know.
Like, you know, and it's something that I couldn't do all the time.
No.
Like it was it was really
introvert.
intense.
I was like, oh, Carmen.
we were in bed very, very early tonight, because we were just like, it was so much, but it was so special. And it's something that like, I hope we get to do again, because.
Well, it was just the like turned up physical 3D experience of what this has been.
That's true.
You know, it's
That's
like we
true.
got to, it was just like condensed and compressed, and that we got to meet so many of you like in person who were so sweet, and they're like, who were like, we watch you on YouTube. I'm like, that's amazing. Like, you know,
that's a wild experience.
It was a wild experience, but like, thank you for those of you who sort of came, and then people who had no idea who we were.
Yeah. Many people.
Like many people. But it was that ability for us to sort of connect and be in that creative process together, and whether you get to do it like in 3D in like in a booth. I do think that's one of the things that we love about this like format, and hope that this invites you to be in that sort of conversation with others, and then also with yourself, right? Because I feel like that was one of the highlights for me being in the booth is like, you know, of course I'm in conversation with somebody, but there's another conversation that's happening inside the knitter, inside of the maker, and to sort of witness that journey of the conversation that they're having with themselves, and then to have them arrive. Yes, I do. I mean, again, we both are very relational therapists. Like, I think relationships is one of the places in which we get to grow and like learn and heal and so on and so forth. But that relationality can be like within yourself, and it can also be with something, right? With a person, or it can also be in, you know, this or this.
Trusting that. And trusting, exactly. And when you have that little inkling, right, that said, put these two together, like you did that on your own. Like, I wasn't part of that decision. And you just knew like that would be, even though that would be different from what you might have done in the past. Yeah. And just, I know we're going on, but like, I like what you were saying about the, I was reflecting on what you're talking about, like that it was 3D. And I think there's also this extra element of a bi-directionality, because we talk and it's all us. It's almost like the opposite of therapy. So
Yeah.
in therapy, it's a wild interaction that's unlike any other relationship because it's unidirectional. Like my clients don't, I mean, I can share things about myself, but it's not about me, right? Like this whole experience is like
about them.
I listen to them,
Yeah.
they talk, right? And our experience here, because there's no other way, is that we're talking to you. So it's all us. So this was this experience of like
The other way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, and then not just, oh, this is you, but then there's this like, whoo, and how do we make these things, like what comes out of the like,
The alchemy.
the alchemy and the like collision of the two.
Yeah. And the collision with the person next to you as you like look at the thing. Oh my God, like the number of pictures that I took on my phone of like combinations that like
I know.
came together, not because like I pulled it off the shelf, but like,
Other
you know,
people
like we
did.
started with one and then someone was like, what about that? And then remembering that somebody like it and like looking over it, like it was just amazing.
It was.
And I just, I guess in summary, it's like, in summary,
To quickly sum up half an hour of us talking.
I think I want to put out the invitation for you in terms of sort of saying whether you can get to a festival or not,
Yeah.
right? Whether you're like able to have an interaction at your like LYS or whether you live somewhere where that is not available. It's more like how can you allow yourself to have those conversations, right? And make space and make time for those conversations.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that people would apologize sometimes for how long that it was taking them, or like I don't not know. And I was like, hello, like we're all knitters here, and like
They're like, I'm
the
gonna go
whole
think
part
about
of the
it.
process is the agonizing over what it is. Like, it's totally okay,
100%.
right?
Or going by and them coming back, like being
Yeah.
like, nope, it was the other
It was
color.
the
And
other
you're only
color.
gonna know that if you go with the one and it tells you, no.
Yeah, so it's like how can you allow yourself to have that, like to just be in that process of alchemy, or like allow yourself to have that journey and let yourself like not know and then know and then try and then you know like and reach out to if relational is your thing, like to put yourself, we say this all the time, like to put yourself out there, and to this is why we like knit-alongs, because it's an opportunity for that relationality to happen around something that's common, that people can meet each other and help each other. Like, so put yourself out there, right?
Yes.
Like if you're knitting something and there's a knit-along, like send a DM. Or like post the thing on Ravel, like post the question,
right.
like here's the
Ask.
thoughts, you know, like
ask for even two possible, if you're going between two things, or be like, this is what I'm thinking. Anybody have any ideas that would be different from this? Like, even if it's no, that looks perfect. And you're like, I'm feeling this like need for a nudge, like, because, and we've talked about how like we can sit, I had this conversation with my dad yesterday too, like that it's so easy to sit in comfort, right? And that when we are feeling comfortable, we want to just stay in comfort, and we want to respect ourselves for like the ways we are, and like so we can be like, this is how I am, I don't like to interact with others. And I mean, honestly, there's gonna be people out there, no problem, if you just don't want to interact with others, fine. But there may be some of you out there that are like, oh, I'm just not a person that interacts with others. That makes me feel a little bit ugh. But maybe take a pause and just feel into yourself to see whether that's actually something you're at first glance thinking, I don't want that. But what if there is like a little bit of something you want to push yourself to? Yeah. Not that it's better, just that it's different.
So you give yourself the opportunity to like have the thing.
Why not? I say why not, but it's hard. It's like jumping off a cliff sometimes. Like hoping that there's a fake bridge like in Indiana Jones. You know, like he steps off. Like that's how it feels. Like it's big. But then you do it and you're like, it could be.
And I always think of like, you know, as much as we make knitting is a big thing for us, as a craft, as a self-discovery process, as like a self-compassion, self-honoring process, like all of that, it is just knitting. Yeah. And so it's kind of like, I'm like, okay, if I'm feeling the call or the desire to have a certain experience, like in this arena that is knitting, I'm gonna let myself sort of dip a toe in, or like, you know, jump in the pool in knitting, maybe before I do it around like my job or like my marriage or like
dating
these like
or
big
something.
stake situations.
100%.
But I do think that like things like knitting that are creative, in which we have to make a lot of where we're given the opportunity to make choices.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful place to get to know yourself and to source of practice. Yeah.
Try it out.
You know.
And we can be different. Like whatever we want to be is what we are, right? I think. So if you want to be a little bit more open, like interactive with people, but you're scared.
I mean, I do think that this community, like this has certainly been our experience, is that this community, most, if not all of the people that we've met, there's a certain sort of like value system that makes you decide, okay, I'm going to take 2 sticks and a whole bunch of string and I'm going to make things.
Yeah. It's going to take a lot of hours to do this.
That creates this kind of like understanding or this like way of engaging in the world, that there's like something.
Yeah. It's like when you go to a yoga studio and you're like, everybody's nice because they want it, whatever draws you there.
To that particular studio and that particular class.
You know, like there's something that will connect you with the people that you're experiencing. And so that's what we're trying to say.
In a very long-winded way.
That's how we roll.
Because it's the wanting to bring people along on our experiences.
Yeah, if you haven't noticed, we're really, really, really feel intensely about
everything.
We're absolutely just filled to the brim with gratitude that this is the experience that we're having. And the people, these are the souls that are coming into our orbit because of this. And
that's you guys.
That's you. This is it. This is who we're talking. We're talking right to you.
Yeah. If you've made it here 2 hours and 45 minutes later.
I mean, we haven't even finished. Okay.
Okay.
I feel like I'm not going to talk about whips. I want to.
Yes.
Yeah? Because she's not done. Okay.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. Okay. I'm about to show you something that I will have no idea when you get to experience it, but hopefully it's sometime soon. So my dear friend Hannah Daniels Sabo, I think, but she goes by Hannah Daniels on Ravelry and Hannah Daniels Sabo on Instagram. This is all going to be linked. No reason for me to take that many minutes to say this. So she's just an amazing, incredible person who, again, through the knitting community I've met. She lives in Belgium, and we're just like kindred spirits. Yeah. Just like we know each other. I met her when I was over in Amsterdam last summer. I like took a train over 3 hours or something, and like met her in where she lives, and she's just a fascinating individual on so many levels. Very, very knowledgeable. She teaches like fiber textile stuff at a university, like college there. Anyway, she is dipping her toe in the world of designing. And
I love this piece so much.
She has made something that is so incredibly unique, but I would expect no less.
Yeah.
She calls this the Victoria Hull. And it is if you see in the pattern, she says, I'm not even going to say it well enough. I should have looked it up, but it's like the love child of a modern shawl and a Victorian lace had a love child. This. It's so good. It's so good. And it has so many like possibilities. So what she's done is you basically are making a shawl. Okay, I'll just put it on.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Like, how beautiful is this?
So beautiful.
So you make a shawl, and now these are all the options, okay? So you have this open, how Victorian is that, right? With this gorgeous lace detail. I made it in Nutidin. This took almost nothing. It was a Nutidin Frusit Vatten, I think. So frozen water, like a long old colorway. And then you have the shawl piece. Did I like show that?
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
So you can go, so you have this like nice airy, like look at this collar, like how did she even think about this? Like you're knitting your shawl, and actually so you can stop, you don't even have to put a collar. You have this cute little, I'm gonna make so many of these things because you make this cute little shawl that you're just like draping over your shoulders, amazing. But you can then join it and then make this gorgeous Victorian, like
so elegant,
silhouette.
It's so Hannah, and it's so you. And I looked at it and I was like, this is genius. I don't know that I can pull it off, but you are pulling it off.
It feels good, and you have so many options, right? So like you can make this more closed.
Okay.
It's all just about increases. Oh, she takes you through. There's so many she's so fun, and literally, like, it's like she's talking to you in the pattern. Like, it's like, okay, I know you're really scared. Like this is how you do it if you want to change, like, the gauge. It's not that hard. And then after you do it, like, she takes you through it and she goes, see, that wasn't that bad, was it?
She's like Elizabeth Zimmerman.
Oh my God, she's the modern Elizabeth
She's the
Zimmerman.
modern
She
Elizabeth
absolutely
Zimmerman.
is. Oh my God. So anyway, so you have this option, but then you have all these other options, okay? So you have, you know, the original, more of a, oops, look at that. Like, how beautiful.
So beautiful.
How beautiful is this? Now, if you like that, you could just knit the whole thing with that also closed. So you would just do the same thing on both sides. A total option. What I also love is doing it side, like what I'd like to make is having that seam go along the side, and then actually, so you could leave it like that if you want to, or I would fill it all in on this side,
So it's
and
like
then you have this like cape. That's so, look at how, it's just so elegant.
It's so elegant.
And it took no time. I can't remember the size needles, but it's like large. Fast. Getting back to our, we love knitting, but we also want like really quick, like quick, what's it called? Instant gratification?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, it's so good.
Oh my God. You can make it longer. You can make the whole thing just like a triangular shawl.
Is it bottom up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh yeah. So then you're also knitting along, and it's just getting faster.
Smaller.
It's faster. Like
Yeah.
you start the biggest, and then you're just decreasing.
I totally want to knit this. I want to knit it the poncho way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, so not having the thing open. I'm gonna knit that. I like that shape.
I like that shape. I also liked when you like turned
the
this,
half.
the half.
Yeah, I like that. I like this.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. And you could, again.
That's my
make
favorite
it-
sweater shape if we could like
That's true.
connect the two. Oh my God.
Because look, it's just gonna it's gonna roll right down your shoulders.
And the again, it's this like airy lacy thing.
Yes.
Which is so,
I'm into lace right now.
yeah.
Look how pretty that is.
So
And it's
pretty.
not a difficult lace pattern.
God. All right.
So it's coming out sometime, hopefully soon. Just had some testing of
Yeah,
it.
let us know.
Mm-hmm. We'll put it, oh my God. It's so pretty.
It is
And
very
imagine the
pretty.
different colors, right? Like
Yeah.
the colors will change it too. If you did it in a black, you'd be like very Victorian, you know, like, oh my God.
This way.
So pretty.
Oh, it feels so nice. It feels
It
so cozy. Oh
is.
my God.
Well, and it takes zero, like, so I did it in New to Den.
cozy.
So tiniest. Like, I haven't weighed it. My kitchen scale's broken, so
I do love this.
Like, look at this looking. Like,
Yeah.
I love that
I
look.
do love this.
I love a triangular, like, shawl. You know, like, remember Denise Bayron had that, like, that was years ago with Inlina. Did you ever see that when she had something? It was a different sort of thing. It wasn't lace or anything, but it was a triangular something, I remember. That felt, it's just so pretty.
It's so pretty. So it's funny because the Gujo collar, which I actually have.
Yeah, that's right.
I loved that where the seam is like here.
Yes.
But I actually think I love this the most.
I love
Which
that.
surprises me because I don't normally wear triangular shawls in this direction, but there's something about this and the lace.
I know.
And also,
And it's just so
nice.
lovely. You know, it just goes over your shoulders.
Yeah.
And again, you will totally customize this to your shoulders.
it really does give you, it gives you like the feeling of a shawl
Yes.
without too much fabric.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about tails
No.
and ends
No.
and wrapping.
Which I am bad at. If you've been in any other episode, I can't wrap. I don't like wrap. So, but yes.
Oh! Okay.
Right?
It also, to me, like, I feel chic.
It is chic. It's classy and unique.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna make more. I cast it on, but then I did the wrong things. But I'm gonna make one in Sonder too. I'm gonna make it in the DK, Sunday morning DK. Oh, Hannah.
I really want to know
Victoria
what size you
Hall.
used Oh, I was gonna say
oh,
this
it's
is
on my
so.
camera.
At this, I'm like, it's so airy.
I think it was a size 8.
8.
Yeah, I think a 5 mil.
Yeah, I think also for me the older Newton blends.
Yeah.
That were like a lot skinnier.
And this one I held double.
Held double.
Yeah.
It's so light.
Isn't it just so, and it's a really, like, it's a pattern that's not upsetting.
Upsetting.
Overwhelming.
Yeah.
You're just going along.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, 2 seconds later, you just have this.
2 seconds later.
I don't know if it was 2 seconds because I don't measure the time. This was absolutely, I think, within 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was fast.
Love it.
Fast.
Love it.
Good.
Okay.
Okay. What do you have? Anything?
I have one whip that I would love some feedback on.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Okay. So,
Actually, can I have my little
Oh, yeah.
again? Perfect.
oh, I just stuck it in
Isn't
my
it
bag.
funny how it just was
It
in
just
her
was in my
pile,
pile.
just accidentally?
So,
Oh, pretty. Oh, that's unique.
yeah. Oh, there are pieces. Okay. So, at one of the episodes recently, maybe recently, we were talking about lists and like knitting lists, and so I'm somebody who has like the next potentially 6 to 8 projects planned. Like I have a list that's like, this is the pattern, this is the yarn, and I'm often trying to balance like I want to have something that's simple, I want to have something that's like engaging, like just different categories, just so that like I have a snack for every single like knitting craving
Situation.
right? So I had a whole plan. This month is my birthday month, and I love like a birthday cast on. Did you do a birthday cast on?
No.
You did a birthday cast on last year, but you didn't have
I
it
don't
this
know
year,
what
right?
I do.
The fleur shawl was your birthday cast on last year.
No, that
Wasn't
was that was on some kind of the solstice. It doesn't
Maybe.
matter.
Anyhow, I like a themed knit, I guess. So I've been thinking, I was like, what's going to be my birthday cast on?
I love that.
I still don't know what it is. But I had a whole
just
plan.
so happy that she was born. I was just feeling that. Yay.
So I had all these plans, and then sometimes you just have to check plans because there's something that like comes across.
Yep.
And you have taught me many things, but one of the things that you have taught me is like let your stash get messy. Or like just dump things together, because some of the greatest combinations come from like your brain will never think about it, but like things just fall together and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So this is one of those scenarios. So this is Rodnad.
Yes.
It's an old colorway of Newton. This beautiful, I don't know if you can.
Oh, I love that one.
Oh, here? This is better, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, so it's a pink that has these like, I don't know, like more raspberry, almost corally like pops in it. The way that Carolyn blended this together was like white and actually red.
Yeah.
And so there are these little flecks. I don't know. Again, trying to show Newton on the internet is near impossible. Anyhow, this was from a while ago, and I had actually started knitting a colorwork sweater, like the Claire de Lune sweater, in this plus another Newton color that looked really beautiful. And then Carmen gave me the Claire de Lune sweater, and so it's just been like sitting there because I'm like the need to knit it has significantly decreased now that I have hers.
Yes.
And
it looks so perfect on you.
So it's just been like sitting there in my like whip area. And then Megan from Bramble Ridge, who is my like color, one of my color inspirations, she was having a sale on her lace weight Surrey alpaca.
Oh,
So I'm like, a sale on lace weight Surrey alpaca, I have to go look. And this is rock hunting.
what a cool name.
And I just fell in love with this. And so I bought it having no like idea what to do with it. Amazing. I don't normally knit with variegated yarns. It's not something that I'm comfortable with. But this colorway, like I just
needed to
I needed to have it. It has these like rusty orange pops and these like deeper, more like purpley violet, and then there's the blue, and then there's blushy pink, and there was just something about it that I was like, I need to have you. And in the Let Your Stash Get Messy, I was like, I don't remember what I was doing, but somehow this ended up next to this, and I was like, you have to be friends, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like,
yes.
So the concept, when I look at this, what it reminds me of is when there's being by the ocean, like sandy beach, where you have a sunset day where you don't have a perfect sunset because there's tons of clouds.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then that time where the sunset is mostly gone and like night is descending. And so you get that like dark blue and the dark blue of the ocean and the like pinky sunsetty. Like this is I can think of so many moments and places in my life where I had this like color story. I was like, oh my God, I have to do it. So I cast on a sweater by Veera Välimäki.
Oh, I love her.
The sweater is, let me show the sweater first actually. The sweater is the Serendipity sweater. And the moment that I saw it, I was like, I need to knit the sweater. It's so beautiful. I admittedly, I think part of the reason that I fell in love with the sweater, not only because it's beautiful, but because the color and the picture is just amazing. So this is the Serendipity sweater. It's a raglan sort of moss stitch and cables. Let me see if I can find another. I am in the moss stitch like phase, not intentionally.
Oh, that is so pretty.
It's so pretty.
And she has such beautiful construction, because that was that when I knit.
Yeah. And you sort of like, she's a designer that I'm aware of, that
Yes.
and after your experience of knitting her tiny pebble sweater, I was like, I want to knit a Veera.
Yeah.
So I loved the pattern. And one of the things that I loved about it, this is where like, you know, if we edited, one of the things I loved about it, her sample was knit in Life in the Long Grass singles with mohair. And there's just these little speckles in it that I feel like when the sweater released and I was looking at the different testers versions, they're all beautiful, but I definitely wanted speckles. And so I was like, hello. So I've cast it on. The process of knitting this is so joyful.
It's so
beautiful. Such a beautiful pattern.
Oh my God. It's so pretty. It's so pretty.
Okay, so here's my question. Am I losing the cables? Can you see it? Or is it too variegated that that you're not able to appreciate all of the beautiful details? But like, can I just like it?
This is, you know, if you're asking the person who you can't even see any of her lace work, that she just like, I'm gonna say it's fine.
Because, you know, like I don't knit variegated and the sample was more in a speckle, and so I have more variegation, but I adore how it's working up.
It's beautiful.
Like I love the color and the fabric. It's just more this question of like, am I doing the pattern justice?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, I think so. If anybody out there is like, God, no, stop,
like,
turn
can
around.
You see it?
Yes.
I mean, I sort of feel like even if I can't see it, I don't think I'm gonna stop, because it's been
so much.
So fun and it's so beautiful.
You can still see it even on here, and it's even more obvious in person.
But
it's really beautiful.
Such a beautiful pattern.
Oh, it's just really, and it's so funny because that was a color story that you liked when we did go at Knit City. We went to like, there was a booth where we were looking at a specific thing and you were like, I don't know, like, because it had very big blotchy amounts of this. This is like, you've achieved it.
Yeah.
Except like with more of like a cloud.
I wish that, does it look like, that's what I was thinking.
It
looks cloudy.
It looks like clouds.
Like I feel like it's hitting the inspiration idea photo.
It's cloudy. It is that night sky underneath, you know, like with the pink clouds that are over top, because it's the sunset. Beautiful.
I wish that you could see, I want to show a place where you can see the way that the color is coming together.
It is.
It's like,
I think it's coming out.
I love it
It is so
much.
pretty. I cannot wait to see.
So I'm like,
I didn't realize it had it on. like the cables are
so there's
down these
cables are
too?
down the sleeves.
Oh,
It's
saddle
beautiful. No, it's a raglan.
Oh, it's a raglan.
It's a raglan.
But the way that they have it as the cables, it makes it seem like it's like
just there's something about there's like cables and then there's seed stitch, and the way that she's sort of created, like put the two together, I think is amazing.
And is there a variable increase thing that'll make the okay, there is. Yeah, so it's not just equipped,
so it's
like
not
the same.
it's
Yeah, because it has that feeling of something's going down that has like that saddle piece that I love.
This has been an absolute, like, I can't put it down.
Yeah.
I cannot put it down. It's so fun to do.
That's like the rib weight. Again, I keep saying the rib weight, but this is the kind of thing where you have cables, but not all over cables. And
you
you're
have
like
rests.
changing.
And I feel like the more you knit, the more you get to know it and the more intuitive it is. And so it just gets more and meditative. Oh, I love it so much.
It's a very nice fabric too.
This is it.
Yes, it's so thick.
Like,
in a really like
the
flexible way.
I have it's so thick in a flexible way.
It doesn't work, but it's true.
It's true.
That's all I can say.
I have classically knit with just Newton alone. I like recently started doing Newton and mohair together, and I think that that's lovely. But this is my plug for Newton plus lace weight Surrey, because the fabric that this is making, this is the coziest I will ever be in my life. Like it just
as
feels
she wears
so,
her like cashmere,
cashmere
with double mohair.
But it just
is so
like
beautiful.
so there's something about the texture and the fabric of this that, I mean, I'm loving knitting it because it's so fun to knit, but I also just like need this on my body now.
I need you to finish it so I can put it on my body.
So we get a lot of questions from folks asking about Newton single-stranded, and you can work with it. We've talked about it, right? But often people will hold with mohair in order to have that sort of single-stranded Newton experience. Yeah. And there's a part of me that thinks Newton and mohair go together really well, but there's also a part of me that feels like when you put Newton and mohair together, it feels less Newton-y.
Yes.
Like you kind of like
you lose that feel.
There's something about it that's makes a gorgeous fabric, but I feel like it makes the fabric closer to like a commercial yarn fabric.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a way to have a less adulterated Newton experience, single-stranded.
Yep. You're right.
So there's my, just looking at the skein, I love this color.
We know what we like, even though that's not what you would normally, the colors are, but not the put together like that. And yet this is so you, and every time you hold it up, it's like, oh my God, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful.
So, okay, thank you. I guess you can see it here. And maybe when there's more of it, the like line
it's gonna be hilarious. You're gonna actually like, once you're finished this, you're gonna laugh that you even considered that there was a problem.
I was like, I don't know that I mean it's on size 6 needles, so 4.0.
It's dense.
No, I'm on 5s. I'm on 5s, US 5s, in order to get gauge, which is
what would it be? 20 something?
3.75.
Oh, those, yeah. But what's the gauge? Like in the 20s?
In the 20s.
Yeah, it looks like it's like tight.
And what was I gonna say? So like, this is gonna be a commitment. Don't tell me the hours, but it's gonna be more hours than a 14 stitch gauge. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna knit this one twice.
We'll see.
I think it would have been different if I knit this in a solid first. And then like gone on to knit the second.
But why would you want it?
But why would I want it? I mean, in my head, I'm like, part of what's also making this so fun is like the pops and seeing like where the little variegated sort of pieces come out. So I can't see myself knitting a second one in a solid color because I feel like it couldn't possibly, it won't, like the process won't be as engaging. So I was like, okay, friends, if you cannot see the pattern, then I'm gonna like put this down in a way and maybe cast on a yoke in a solid to see if it is better. But I just love this so much, I don't really want to do that.
No, you're gonna love it. It looks great. You can see them. It's hilarious that you're worried. It's absolutely very, very
visible.
Clear.
Okay.
Yes. And
first time variegated yarn person.
I think you might make it more than once. personally. Once it's on, I think you'll be like if it fits.
If it fits.
I mean, I have a sample of one with her patterns, but I was so surprised by that, my Tiny Pebbles, how lovely that fit was. Like I wear that one all the time. I really love that one.
And this, you know, the way that you're right, the increase ratios are different. That's what creates the lines. And then also, you know, moss stitch.
I love moss
It's like, there are these little things that you can look at patterns where it's like, how is the fabric going to come to shape with your body? And because it's new to it, it's like there's this extra layer of how it's going to just like sculpturally find its way on your body. But oh my god, thank you, Megan, for the inspiration.
I love that. I love that.
Maybe I'll start knitting with variegated yarn.
We shall see.
We shall see.
You're just gonna fly along with your inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay. Just on that, because I want to say something because it's actually similar. Okay. I have no.
That's so beautiful.
Okay. I think so too. What? I have no reason to buy any kind of sock yarn. I have so much. And then there's this like fiber festival in Fergus, Ontario, which is not very far from here, but it was on a day I was golfing and I couldn't go. But I see this, so there's this dyer called A Wanderer Wool.
I love her.
A Wanderer and Her Wool. And I have been so drawn to her aesthetic all the time. Like there's something about all of this, which is hilarious because when you see the colorway, it was only after she sent me this in when I got it that I was like, oh yeah, that's okay. She apparently makes a colorway when she does fiber festivals. So the one that she had made for the Fergus Fiber Festival was called Isle of Skye, and she showed it, and I was like, I must have that.
Yeah.
I must. And then when I looked, look at the colors.
I love what you love.
I really do. So I'm making some kind of socks. I don't know even what socks. It's gonna be socks.
Is that 100 or 50 grams? 100.
Yeah. So it's so Fergus Fiber Festival 2024 sock set, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 420 yards for 115 grams.
Color story, my god.
I needed it. I love this with this.
Yes, that's what
like,
I was like. It's the combination. Like, I mean, this is beautiful
this is
all on its
already was
own,
gonna be
but
beautiful.
like, whoop-pow!
Anyway, talk about when you just need variegated. I haven't bought variegated wool. I can't remember the last time. Can't remember.
She was on my Knit City list, but I was too full on yarn fumes.
I know she was just down
down the way.
aisle. I wanted to go see her. But yeah, then I saw this and anyway, I think that might be my next, because I've got a few things that are almost finished, and maybe I'm just gonna cast on some socks.
You're good on socks. Like you do, like you sock is a palette cleanser for you.
It is.
Like
it feels
often.
So good.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Anyway, so that's that. We have more, but I think
yeah, we're done.
312.
We're
That's
done.
good.
I feel like I always say this. I don't know if we're gonna have anything to show the next time. I feel
we can't say that this time because we
we actually do have extra stuff to show. I was thinking though about I had a realization that I need to do a whip down. You know when like Lily
did
pulled out all of her whips?
Yes.
I know that I need to do a whip down because I have no needles in order to cast on the new things.
Yeah.
And I am having this realization that like my toxic trait as a knitter is that I can't finish shawls. Yes. I have so many shawls in progress. And so I'm like, would you be interested in like a whip down situation? I mean, I will have finished objects for when we podcast, hopefully in July in like a month.
Well, maybe we do a little like bonus.
We do like a little whip down situation.
Like you just come on over, like we find something where we have, only 2 hours.
Do you need a whip down?
I do have a bunch of whips. I do.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I'm gonna cast this on instead.
I know. I'm like, we're just gonna keep casting things on, but I do feel like there are a bunch of whips that I would really like to.
We'll do a bonus.
Yeah.
And we won't talk about anything else. We won't talk about anything else.
There will be no tangents.
We will just be focused.
I don't think we can do it.
No, me neither, but maybe. We'll try.
Anyway, let us know. Let us know if that would be something that is worthwhile watching. I'm aware that my preference when I watch a knitting podcast is to sort of, in the way that we have often done, it's like hearing the story of the knit from like start to finish.
Yes.
As opposed to doing it in installments. And so like, I'm like, oh, if we do a whip down, then forever
We
it will always be installments. Like everything, you're gonna be watching things happen over the course of like 6 months, as opposed to like this, where it's like,
well,
it's
we're
here.
never gonna be able to do just
Yeah,
focus with. Okay, so wait a second. Before I agree to this, does a whip down mean you don't get to do anything else until you finish your whip?
No,
Okay.
it just means like, here are all the whips, and then I'm basically asking for community support to like put some like wind beneath the wings of these whips that are just like languishing, and I like every single one of them I love.
I know.
But for some reason, like, stuff just keeps hopping on in front.
Yeah.
And now I have no needles. And I also want to cast on, like, I have like 4 potential shawls that I want to cast on for my birthday. And I have no more shawl, like, needles left, because I have so many unfinished shawls that I'm like, I need to, like, something needs to happen here.
Well, or you do what I've done, which is have an obscene number of Chow Groove needle sets. I have 2 of the full sets of the bamboos, 2 full sets of the metals, and then I have extras that I've bought, because you can buy you can buy them separately. I didn't realize that.
The cables?
The cables you can buy separately, but the actual needles.
Oh yeah.
So if you want like a few more size 4s, you can just buy those. I have so many needles.
I bought like a whole roll. You know, they have the barber cord stuff?
Yes.
You can just buy the cord.
Oh,
it's like not in the, and then like you just buy a spool of it.
I can't make those work very well.
I also can't.
Yeah.
And so I bought them being like, this is how I'm going to reclaim my things, put them on. Then I was like, oh my God, like these don't work.
Yeah.
The barber cord, okay,
they fall
here's the
off.
barber cord situation. If you, I think if you're working on a US 7 or a 4.5 millimeter needle and up, barber cords work. But the moment you get below that, and like all of my shawls are on like US 3s and US 2s, like the circumference of the barber cord is larger than the circumference of like the needle, the cable. So then everything just ends up falling off, and then I felt super discouraged. So then that was my solution though. That was my solution was not whip down. My first solution was buy barber cords, reclaim all of them back, start casting on all the new things. But now I'm like, okay, maybe I need to actually do a whip down.
I think I need a whip down.
Have you ever ripped out half a project before?
I had you rip out half my project.
No, I ripped out a completed project. I was gonna be like, Carmen, will you rip this out for me? I brought it thinking that I was gonna, I was thinking that I had to leave it with you for you to like reclaim my cashmere mohair. But I think I don't need to.
I think you should leave it. I do.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So whip down. Let us know. And let us know what you're knitting.
Yeah.
Let us know what's making you happy. Are you doing the summer knit thing? Like, we would love to be inspired.
Know that any comments you put in there are read and absorbed and loved, and
so many times
even
over.
if they don't get responded to for months.
the number of text messages of me being like, taking a screenshot and sending Carmen a text message being like, crying at this comment.
I know.
Do not know how to reply.
I know.
We love you guys.
Love you.
Thank you for giving us this experience. We wouldn't have this experience without you.
Nope.
It's crazy to think that next month is going to be 2 years.
Yes. Oh, that's.
I know. So we got to figure something out.
She's to do something about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mwah.
See you soon.
Love you guys.
Bye.